Yeah, welcome to an episode of Unclicked. We have another kind of off the normal path, a kind of the topical discussion one, as you probably saw from the title, which I have yet to figure out what it actually is. We are talking about kind of the recent chatter of BMX is dead and all that stuff. And it's not something that, I necessarily wanted to do. It's hard to talk about this stuff as I feel like I'm super in the industry, but I don't know the ins and outs of what brand sells what for what and how that stuff works. So this was a bit of I learned a lot in this as well. Like if you look at my call log, at any point I had a question, I called like 3 people to talk to them and ask them more questions and try and understand it. First off, we have Brian Kachinsky here. Would you consider yourself an ex-professional bike rider? Is that a safe thing? I don't want to offend you, but
no, not at all. And I wore all black today to mourn the death of BMX. I'm just kidding.
Demarcus Paul.
I don't know if I can follow that one up.
Yeah, right after the theme song, it's like that funeral song.
Yeah. And then Joey Cobbs, you were also a professional bike rider for a time, did you?
For a moment.
And then you found yourself pretty industry as well, working for Haro most notably.
Yeah.
And
worked
then
for Demolition back in the day as well.
You're also notable for doing the first ever to do the can foot jam.
That's true.
Can jam.
That is true.
Oh boy.
And here we go.
Here we go.
And now you do.
I work with Dennis.
Dennis's videos,
Yep.
Game of Bike stuff,
Yep.
all around good guy.
He's a great guy.
Giant
Thanks,
meaty
boys.
hands,
Yeah.
though.
Thanks, boys.
Giant meaty hands.
Yeah, dude. Big features, bro.
Hey, easy. Pause.
For the calves, dude.
Get out of here, dude. Get out of here.
Yeah, I mean, we all know BMX isn't dead. I think the major one was Alfredo's video with the title and the thumbnail and kind of the poor taste of having Pat and Mira and just kind of running through that whole thing. And I think it kind of triggered a lot of us in certain ways. Right. People that care, I think, and even industry alike. And you'll see in this as we go that it resonates with brand owners as well. So. I don't know. Is there anything you guys want to add before I kind of say the premise of the podcast?
I mean, I would think it looked to me like he was trying to kind of hit a formula. You know what I mean? It's like it was like 2/3 the way through when he started going through all the injury stuff, and he's trying to keep people watching. And it seems to me that he's trying to get views.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Which is like that's kind of a rough way to do it because that's a lot of people's like friends and family members and all of that stuff, and there was a lot of, things that weren't exactly true. He's like saying people as like, injuries were result of like bike riding when they weren't.
Yeah.
Not every case, but a lot of the cases,
Yeah, I can't remember what he said about Pat, but obviously Pat being in there, obviously he passed and it was a huge, huge I fucking love Pat, but it happened on a motorcycle. It didn't necessarily happen anything specifically to do with BMX. And then Dane Searles fell off a balcony at a bar or got pushed, like a really horrible set of circumstances that led up to that. And then Drew's was a car accident. And so it's like lumping all these people in here is like, is this an actual representation of what's happening? And that's like the stuff that like pulls at you because those are all people that we knew.
Right. And you can't respond while it's playing. And a lot of people are watching it and that's their first impression of the story.
Yeah.
And that usually resonates the most with people. And so then it's like you want to, hit pause on everyone's TV and explain the situation or give, context. And that's what's so like, I don't know if the inflammatory, but that's like what's so provocative or whatever is the fact that there's no context being given and it sounds crazy and it sounds like this big scandal, and it's all about perspective. And you know what I mean?
Engagement.
Like for every tragic story, there's 10 amazing success stories. You know what I mean? And like, I think of like Daniel Dares or something like that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like someone who like he's got the craziest story ever, and he's an Olympian. You know what I mean?
He owns a sport team now.
This is like, it's insane, and so like, and that's one story, and that was just like one random one that I'm trying to think of, like, or like, even like Michael Mogerzone, you know, it's like a smaller, you know, hardly anyone knows him. But then it's like, I went to his home where he, you know, in Bogota, and I was like, bro, you made it. You know, like he's a citizen of the United States. He's allowed to be here. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And like he put in work, and dude, he came with nothing, and now he's like doing it. You know, and he's like, you know, investing it back home. You know, he's like got a plan. You know, and you're like, that's awesome. You know, and that's all through BMX. And there's so many different avenues of BMX. And like one thing I thought of too, which to me is a clear sign, is like, which is just a random little thing, but like the amount of bike shows going on at schools. You know what I mean? Yeah. Like every kid's school right now has a bike show. Just like when I was a kid, we had GT shows coming, you know, and I know of like several different companies that are hitting. My kid's school gets ridden, like, you know, people show up all the time, you know, or like at least once a year there's a BMX team. It's not a skate team. It's a BMX team.
Yeah.
You know,
same
it's like
yeah.
BMX stunt team. And it's like, even in that small little lens, it's, you know, it's popular. People want to see it. PTA sees it and they go, ooh, that's cool. That's an interesting story. We want you to come talk to the kids. Like,
positive message.
It's got nothing to do with nothing to do with the industry, but it's like a clear sign that like the public is interested in this thing that is BMX. Like,
and it's as dangerous as you want to make it. I mean, I personally like to scare myself once in a while, so I did a lot of scary stuff on my bike, you know, but I also had so many days where the camera was off or whatever. I'm with my friends that you can just ride a curb, ride something small, do whatever, practice manuals, hang fives in a parking lot, whatever. I mean, of course it's not the most safe thing you can do, but the risk is up to you, you know, and we all know that. And you know, to have it painted as this reckless, dangerous thing, I think is always kind of tiring to hear, because it just, it can be, sure.
Can
like,
be, for sure.
But
I wonder, like, the motivation to do it is based in attention seeking, or in the sense of like he actually feels different, you know, like he's talking about aging out, and it's like, bro, you aged out. Like you're not in this anymore. I understand that it's different now than when you were at your heyday. You know, I mean, I already said it on the podcast once, but like scamming DC to keep you sponsored and shit. Like, sorry, I lost all my video footage, you know, like it's stuff like that it existed at a point and it doesn't exist for you anymore. It doesn't mean that other people aren't finding success. And it's just like, if you're going to reach back in and try and contribute something, like,
I feel like maybe it's like
real,
it's like a mix of, his own personal perspective mixed in with emotion.
Yeah,
like how a lot of
sorry about that DC thing too.
Oh, yeah, you know, like a mixed in with a little bit of emotion, and maybe giving his perspective and like how a lot of the situation probably made him feel over the years. And you talked about like some of the particular things about like the deaths of the other guys and the people he talked about.
Yeah.
I experienced something recently with my son, which as a parent, you take accountability for what your kids are exposed to and what they see. But at some point, you have to be very, very honest with them. And I try to stand in the light of like, oh, if you ask me a question, then I got to figure out the answer. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. The most important thing for me is to not mislead them. Like, meaning that if they watch something, you know it's not be true, but depending on how it's delivered changes everything. Yeah. So if my son watching it and he's like, well, who is this? He died from this, or this is like, oh no, that's not actually what happened. So now I have to reprogram. Yeah. You know, like, but as a parent, that's what I do first. But also as a BMXer, if we're talking about kids, we're talking about doing school shows, that comes with it too. Yeah. And how we personally consume stuff, we have to also make sure that we audit ourselves and monitor what we, do and what we say on camera, which causes you to compose yourself before you say it. Always think about what you say before you say it. Doesn't mean you're going to always say the right thing, but if you say it, also stay open to be corrected, or open enough to be like, okay, I didn't think about it that way. But you got to be able to stand behind it if you say it, but also be able to be corrected. Yeah, so.
and that sentiment kind of reigns into like what I did for this podcast, because I think that working at Ride, being in this industry for almost 25 years now, I have always kind of done church and state, in the sense of like I am photographer and journalist, and I tried to not know ad rates back in the day with Ride as long as I could. I was like, I don't know what a page in Ride costs, because that was the not fun part to me. So knowing how brands are doing and getting in the weeds of this stuff is not my normal arena. And if I sit here and just, whatever, posturize on what I think is happening and stuff, it's not fucking accurate.
Right.
So the goal here was to reach out to brand owners. I think I showed you guys the list earlier. Pretty substantial list, as every single brand that I can think of, not working with me or anything like that. Like any brand that I could think of, mostly company owners, a couple of brand managers, sent them an email with 6 or 7 questions. And then I created a Google form so they could respond via email and be quoted if they wanted, or they could just reply to the Google form and it would be purely anonymous. So some of the responses, I literally don't know who they are. I did just kind of remove all, credits and stuff like that, just to avoid the, the confusion of it in that sense. Like, so we don't know who anybody is, but there's numbers that stick the whole way through. So brand 1 is brand 1 the whole way through.
Gotcha.
I see.
So, there's touching on a couple of things. I also have this kind of little breakdown thing. I do have school shows in here, the unsung hero that I literally put the unsung hero that may do more than we ever know.
Yeah.
And that's like
introduces it to
very
a lot
true.
of people.
So people riding bikes, I found, I've heard this stat, a couple times over the years. The surprising rise of this was originally on Pink Bike, and they cited this article, the surprising rise of BMX popularity in the United States. So back in 2010, 42 million people rode bikes. Of that 42 million, 1.9 riders said they rode BMX bikes. So that's 0.63 of the U.S. population. In the 12 years or so since 2010, BMX has grown from 4.6 of total cyclists to 7.6. So there's now 4 million BMXers in the United States, according to this. True or not, I don't know.
Well, you know what I see now a lot more than when I was a kid is kids growing up doing a lot of different sports.
Yeah.
They might ride a Sur-Ron or they might ride mountain bike, but they also have a BMX bike and they're good at it and they can skate. You know what I mean? And it's like they just have kind of dabbled in everything. Those guys still know who BMX riders are. Yeah. And if the sport is doing cool things, then they're going to touch into it. It's just people take what they're given. You know what I mean? And I think right now we're still in a funk. Like, I think people downplay like the repercussions of COVID. Like, think about I'm not trying to put everything on COVID, but think about how much day-to-day stuff has just changed because of COVID, self-checkout or just random stuff. Or driving your car and picking up the groceries or whatever. They never took that away, right. And just weird stuff. Companies are adapting to try to keep you coming in, even though there was this pandemic, and BMX bikes had a weird thing happen that a lot of people don't really consider or I think even really understand. It's they shut down gyms, they shut down everything, but you could ride a bike. It was the one time I can remember since I was a kid where schools would have a family parked in it with got the whole fam riding bikes in the parking
lot. It was
lot.
adorable. It was when it was a movie scene, and, you're look at all these people,
dude,
look at all this stuff, except for in downtown. But but we'll get into that. Let's because there's all the COVID stuff. So one thing that also gets mentioned sometimes is Google Trends. So this is the search term BMX. This is interest over time, 2004 to current. COVID period obviously is kind of in this vibe right here.
Sure.
So it has a peak. So this number right here doesn't have a specific. It could be 100 people.
What's the high point?
The high point is who knows, but it could have been when Mira passed or something like that. It's August 2008. So this is just so you guys understand the scale.
Okay.
That is the highest number. So that gets a 100.
Sure.
So this is where if it's at 50, that's half as much as that. We don't know what X is.
Sure.
So if you look at the scale, it's it's trending downward, and so people latch onto this, and you got to think about the way that the internet was in 2004 and 2008 and 2010.
Sure.
It was a very different landscape where you did Google things instead of type them in. You didn't go to YouTube and type in BMX. You didn't go to. It's a very different landscape. So I don't think people that are necessarily interested in BMX are just going, whatever. Nashville BMX. Like I think they're typing that into YouTube because they want to see stuff, and it's just a different landscape, or Instagram or TikTok.
Well, that's what I was going to say. Like my first sort of line of
I think just the amount of people alone from 2008 Googling is probably half as much.
Oh yeah, or less
now. Like
well, and the thing is like most people, or at least for me, I'm consuming most of my BMX content through Instagram at first. And then I'll see, someone's doing something bigger or whatever, or there's something more interesting to click into. Then I'll watch a full-length part, or I'll watch a documentary or something like that. Well, you're not searching BMX. You're just going through your feed. Your feed is catered towards your interests. So like I'll see the accounts, I see your posts, you know what I mean? And so it's like, but I'm not searching BMX. And so I'm sure that, who knows if like my interest in BMX is, being considered, with that sort of traffic, you know what I mean?
Yeah. So I just say, when people latch onto this stuff, they're like, look at the Google, because one of the company owners says this in here. I don't know if I grabbed it in here, but they're like, look at the Google Trends. I'm like, I mean, it's not necessarily like black and white.
Not as relevant as maybe it once was.
Exactly. Like there is, you take it for a grain of salt. We have this other thing that's saying, hey, there are more bike riders.
I think it's several issues sort of coming together.
Right. Yeah,
that
but
are causing maybe the situation.
Just the idea of like, I have this thing at what compiles BMX. The primary stuff is people, bikes, and places to ride. There's more people than ever, potentially.
Sure.
There's more bikes than ever. That's for fucking sure. There may be in a warehouse, but there's more bikes than ever. Yeah. And then there's more places to ride more than ever. And that could be, maybe that's part of the downfall as well. Is like, oh, look at this fucking boring ass plaza. Why do I want to ride that? Or, I don't know. But
it's more accessible.
And then secondary is kind of the stuff where it's like when they're saying BMX is dead, they're talking about, the industry, and I think you could go ... that they grew up with. And culture ... that they grew up with.
Right.
Yep.
And like I went up the back in my day, or my motor went vroom and shit like that.
To speak more like accurately to like what you were saying about like there are more places to ride, but then to a person in the middle of America that lives in a little small town, it's like there's nowhere to ride.
Yeah.
But we understand that, but there is somewhere closer to you that you can ride now. Because by design, it's getting better. Yeah. Doesn't mean that it's great for you, but like you said, it's getting better. So it broadened the aspect of like taking how you feel out of it to look at the actual real situation and making sense of it, rather than being like, well, I feel like it doesn't matter how you feel. Like actual reality in this situation is like the actual factor and the key indicator to saying like, oh yeah, there's a skate park like 3 hours away. Before there wasn't.
Well, that hasn't changed. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. If they're getting more places to ride, like if they lived in a rural area, they always have lived there, and there has never been a skate park there, unless and then it's like, so hopefully there's ones being built nearby, closer, or they have to be resourceful and do their own thing, which has happened a million times. You know what I mean? People build their own ramps, build their own jumps. Hopefully, if you live in a rural area, you have land, you can dig. You live in a city, you don't have land, it's harder to make jumps. You know what I mean? So it's like you ride what you have.
Literally a product of that environment.
But there's, I love the examples of people that have risen from that environment. Like I always use Corey and Seth as an example. I was like, some of the two best street riders of a generation didn't come from New York City. They didn't come from Los Angeles. They came from the middle of Alabama. And it's just because they wanted to do it, and they rode how they rode, and they were dedicated, and they did it. And same with like someone like Drew Bezanson. He's from small town Nova Scotia, rode a 4-foot mini in his barn or whatever it was in his garage until he rode a skate park years later. And so I love that, and I love how accessible BMX is. So
it's just changing. You know what I mean?
So getting into the question, I gave the premise, right? My brain is mush. I've been like doing this. I
sent it out to
I sent it. All right, because I know I did that before the podcast. I was like, did I do it after we started? So first question is, what is the current state of the BMX industry?
So this is like the business side. This is more about like brands and their financial state.
I mean, some of it's feelings based, because the next question is like, what's the what are the biggest obstacles that BMX face as a whole? You know,
Okay,
and then
right.
what are the biggest obstacles that you face as a brand, and then
So it's not
how
all
did tariffs affect you? You know, I tried to make him slightly vague, and then also just let them kind of vent at points, as you'll
Yeah,
see.
super
As you
important,
see,
yeah.
there is a couple. So brand one says things are looking up. Oh, not dead. You know, like we've adjusted to the market, tightened our belts, and business is going pretty all right. Is it the same volume we were doing 15 or 5 years ago? Not even close, but we've scaled accordingly. Brand two, there is definitely an abundance of product out in the market and plenty of brands discounting, which hinders new drops. I can only speak on behalf of what I see, but it feels like we are definitely coming out of the other side lately.
Can I chime in real quick?
Yeah, of course.
On the brand one thing, we've scaled accordingly. You know what that means?
Yeah, down.
You know, like they've
Down.
cut budgets.
Yeah.
Which to riders could mean BMX is dead. You
Yeah,
know,
yeah.
because that's their deal gone away.
Right.
You know
And-
what I mean? And like that's the sad truth.
Yeah.
And that's the business side of it. You know what I mean? Like where
Well, it
companies
doesn't-
have to like it's not always that way, and it's not always with the riders that get cut or downsized. But it's like that's what you know.
Well, they
they're
could be
saying there.
scaling down in products, scaling down in risk, scaling down
Everything.
in sales associates. You know, it's
Sure.
not necessarily. You know, they could be
No,
combining
like
two
warehouse
colorways,
space and
two
stuff.
colorways
The
of
reason-
a complete
yeah.
instead of 3
Yeah.
or 4.
The reason I bring up the rider point of
Yeah.
it is the perspective of BMX being dead.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
what you guys are saying is like, oh yeah, it affects a specific thing, which it could, you know, but it's like, or like they might be, you know, cutting a specific part of the business that has nothing to do with riders. But
Yeah.
if they cut anything to do with the rider program to scale
It's
back
fucked.
because
It's fucked. Yeah.
business is
Yeah.
not what it was 5 or 15 years ago, then the world is collapsing.
Yeah.
And it is a harsh truth for riders. And I'm sympathetic to riders. Like I wish there were way more deals out there.
Yeah.
You know, and I've been lucky to be able to be around when there are a lot of deals. And then it's like there's a lot of work for everyone, you know, because of that.
Yeah.
There's a lot
Yeah.
of things going on. So
Yeah.
it's like rising tide, you know? So my point is just like you could see how like just that one response could mean sort of the end for somebody's
it's a
career.
it's a
you know what I
twist,
mean?
yeah,
And for them,
yeah.
it's like, oh, we scaled back.
See, this
and it's
is-
like
that's
the
exactly where it gets
business
tricky at
side
right there.
leading
Yeah.
to like someone's passion being like their dreams of just
Well, we
potentially
got a
ending.
long way to go.
I know, no. I'm just saying. I was
I
sort
like
of
it. I love
talking
it,
to
yeah.
the point of like
There-
how
yeah.
There is a
perspective is everything.
There is a question
you know?
about the status of pro riders and all that stuff. So,
Yeah.
going
good
brand three, we have to remember this is a global sport and industry. Several of our larger distributors reported that they have gains in 2025 since the initial slump started in 23-24 after COVID gains in 21-22. So that's, you know, you'll see that come again. 21-22, fantastic years for BMX. Also a roller coaster of decisions that had to be made and stuff like that. So that is a theme that we talk about. Everybody was outside. Everybody bought bikes. I feel like everybody knows this, but just laying down that foundation. This may be due to loss to distributors in some smaller EU countries and the larger ones picking up the slack with cross-border sales. So it was probably a wash overall. But our international distributor bookings, which is the important statement, was stronger in 25 than 24. So going up is the takeaway. And it says, while it appears the initial market is making a comeback in the U.S., the U.S. market is in a slump that most of us are blaming on Bike Life, Suron, even the DJ MTB market. This shows that there's still money out there, but it's not just coming into BMX Freestyle like it was. So for the record, I do know who this is. I talked to them and I asked them how much of their business it is a US based brand. How much of your business is actually US based? And because internationally they are doing well, slumping still in the United States, they said 20%
Is U.S.?
is US.
Oh, wow.
It was very interesting because you kind of, you know, we're not the center of the universe. You know, like
But I often
it's-
have heard that it is the biggest market.
maybe,
Typically.
yeah, maybe,
But
yeah.
but that's just if you're saying like considering it country by country.
yeah,
right?
You know,
yeah.
something that's interesting. Sorry, I didn't mean to
No, you're
step
good.
on your last point. Something that's interesting though is I was somewhere recently. Can't give details, but it was about a BMX
Strip club.
I don't. Yeah, exactly. They're at the strip clubs, and they were talking about distributing a mountain bike brand or just a bike brand in China, in China's retail
Oh, yeah,
shops,
yeah,
but a
yeah.
U.S. brand. So going the other direction.
Yeah.
You know, and so there's like a demand that's starting in like the middle class in China that wants brand name, you know, bikes. They don't want
KNK or KNK.
whatever.
Have you seen that? I sent a photo to Kink. It's literally Kink's logo without an eye.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah, so they don't want that. They
That's
want
fascinating.
Yeah, and my point is like,
because-
this is interesting. It's like billions of people or a billion people, you know, like
I've always said that about China and India because they're 3/4 or no 2/3 of the world or whatever. No, I don't know. Sorry, I'm gonna mess this up. But they're a huge chunk. I mean, you got like
I was trying to make fun of you in my head. I was like,
you
how
got
could I
like
not?
7 billion people in the world, and I think 4 billion and some change are from India and China combined.
Right. Wow.
And you don't have BMX, you know, it's not a huge thing, not anywhere close to like those numbers. If those numbers are correct, like even if 1% of the population of those countries rode BMX, that would be enormous.
That'd be insane. That'd
well,
be-
but
yeah.
what if
But yeah,
if they
you're right.
win
I
an
mean,
Olympic medal?
There is,
medal.
yeah.
What if that happens?
Yeah, well, and that has been huge
Right.
for China. You know,
Yeah.
there's more people riding bikes, and it's now in every province. You know, they have
crazy.
They have like provincial teams and just way more people riding BMX. Still, just a sliver of the population there, but that's great.
It's gotta be
However,
growing.
they also have all the manufacturing there too, so they can kind of create, if they want to, they could create their own brands, their own culture, their own stuff. So it is interesting that you say that.
But
they
they're-
do
they're
want-
always
that
will
they
be
do
some-
Public
want.
is getting wise though.
They
Yeah,
want
they don't
some-
want the knockoff.
Yeah.
They
They
want
don't
the
want-
real
yeah,
deal.
that'd be
They
incredible
don't want the
for
BMV.
those-
They want the BMW.
Well, and
You
it's
know?
the first time. Yeah, like, this year is the first time I've heard of that, and I was
Yeah.
like real quick. I was like, whoa, that could be a game changer.
Yep.
You know what I mean? And so it's like,
But that's a lot of markets, and that's talk
China, though.
talk shit on the
Yeah.
Olympics, but that is a direct offset of the Olympics.
well, it's like
I'm
X
doing
Games.
that.
You know, when
Yeah.
X Games was on, you know, cable TV. You know,
Yeah.
that's like
Which,
so many people saw
that-
saw X Games.
That Google spike, August of 2008, was the first year. I just always have that ingrained
Oh.
in my brain because that was the first year BMX Street was in the X Games.
Ah.
That month. That was
I had
the
it-
first
I had
week of
it-
August.
I had it
And I was
wrong.
like,
It was
I wonder if that was the spike.
Hey,
It was
but-
an NK BMX. I don't know if hopefully you can see the logo at a point.
Yeah, and it's a total.
It's literally
knockoff.
chaos. It's just chaos. Look at it.
Yep.
Yep.
Oh.
How amazing, right?
Yeah.
Look at that.
Yikes.
Putting it together.
Yeah, I could find that quick because I sent it to J-Ro when I was there.
Stir in the pot.
So I can.
Yeah,
well, I
they're-
mean, hey, maybe you should ask your manufacturer why they're taking the K and the I off your bike.
You think that's what's happening? It's the factory doing it.
I mean, look at the shoe industry. Like, look
Yeah.
at, like Nike.
Yeah.
Like any Jordan that or whatever is made, it's like you think, not you just in general, but in
Yeah.
general, like shoes get ripped off constantly
Yeah.
through
Oh,
the same
man.
manufacturer that make the same shoes.
Yeah.
It's like it is what it is.
I was in one of those markets in China, and there was a pair of Jordans, and he had the the Jumpman logo, and it's a round ball in his hand. Well, it was a square. Everything looked the same, but you could tell with his hand he was holding a square block.
Yeah.
Nice.
It was like just the littlest detail.
little
yeah.
detail.
The international stuff, is interesting. Just in the sense of like the market here, and we're obviously going to get into tariffs and all that stuff. But is there any take on Bike Life, Suron, DJ, MTV stuff, all that? So,
I got a take.
All right.
But it's pretty much based around what Joey was saying. Like people are into so many different things.
Yeah.
Like a lot of us probably feel attacked whenever we hear like BMX is dead because we love it so much, and that's generally how it is. Like it is easy to overlook like all the good and the things that we see happening in BMX is constant. But when we hear like one negative thing, we're like, wait, I love this so much. How dare you talk about it?
Yeah.
But like this, like whether it's dirt jumping mountain bike or BMX, kids are into so many different things. Proof as in having a child, having kids that are just like, can I have this? Can I have this? And it's like these are things that they're asking for that could just sit around the house for years, but because they exist, they may pick it up here and there. Like you mentioned, a skateboard, instruments. It could be a mountain bike. It can be a BMX bike. It could be a scooter. Like these things exist, and depending on what that kid is into at the moment or how they feel, it's like, oh, well, I know there's a dirt track up the street, and today I want to ride the mountain bike. It kind of feels a little bit more comfortable to me. But then you may have a few friends that skateboard, and you may not do one trick, but you will skateboard around the city with them. So kids are just into so many different things, and that's my take on like.
I think the fucking schoolyard gang aspect that we grew up with of like, I skateboard, you surf, one of those things where you just drew lines between all that stuff. That seems to be really gone. And I think people's identity isn't necessarily wrapped up in it anymore, which is, I think I'm a BMXer, like once you made that claim, it was like a big deal. I don't ride BMX, so sorry Trey Jones, but like I mean that's like it was a big deal. Like, no, I'm a BMXer. I don't just ride BMX.
Well, I think you could probably scale it to like every sport. Yeah. It's probably got a lot less diehards in it than maybe 20 or 30 or 40 years ago when there was just less offerings. Yeah. You know what I mean? You discovered, like when I discovered BMX, I thought like, oh man, this is like something so unique and like, oh, this is like, it was just really interesting, and it was like really sunk in at that point, but like people are exposed to so many things and it's just changing, and I think like to think that BMX is going to be, like a core sport, like a tennis or basketball or baseball, it's like, it's probably old thinking, it's like, it'll be its own thing. I think people will be interested in it, but like, I almost like, when I look at BMX now and I think about like where it needs to be as a business, I think it needs to be like IndyCar, NASCAR. People love to watch it. They're cool. And they'll influence people buying Ford or Chevy. But most people don't drive NASCAR. Yeah, most people don't drive IndyCar. Yeah. They just like it. And it's like, and it'll, or like, and that product line is going to be for the extreme, like the extreme few people that are into, riding freestyle BMX. It makes sense, yeah. And it's like, it just is it's a sad truth.
Well,
like, I don't know. Like,
honestly, it's the Hyper business model. Hyper doesn't sell the bikes that Jay Tui rides. Right. They use that to market and be a part of the BMX industry and have this core team of riders to sell the entry level bikes. And that is Jay Tui and Ryan Williams are fucking F1 cars.
Right.
Totally. And that is that model. That is the Mongoose model and stuff like that. Is right. Like you can't really buy those bikes that they're on, and everybody knows it.
Well, you might be able to, but they might make like 50 frames.
Yeah. You know what I mean, though. Like, but I'm just saying, even like the component wise and everything else. Like, there is no high end complete like that they can.
And there doesn't need to be. I mean, like BMX brands tried to do high end pro models, and they always do a hard time. They always have a hard time. Because it's like if you're going to spend that level of money, you could piece together your own bike and have like your exact bike. And if you're that into it, you're going to want to do that. And it's like.
Let me. I don't want to. I will start. We should move through this stuff a little bit quicker, just because I don't want it to go. Fucking.
Oh, we would.
I'll see. Would tomorrow.
Tomorrow. We would scan. I wish there was. A way. Shut up now.
I kind of this one. Did I fuck up by inviting him? Did I fuck up?
I'll go.
No. I'll go.
You just tell me when. All right, I'll stop.
He's so good at everything he do, bro.
Shut it.
It's always a good time.
There's like a scene from Boogie Nights right there where he's like, it's my dick. I want to
take it easy. I did not. What?
He'll go, bro.
So one thing I didn't state is that by the time this podcast comes out, I will have a web post with all of these answers. With these are the selects of it that I wanted to give different samples of people's responses, and I left quite a bit of stuff out, more than half. So
I want to hear Brian's perspective on this, because I thought you were about to say something, but we got.
Well, you guys
with the international market.
Yeah. Well, with that about the take on the bikes. And
so personally, I'm always happy to see people outside getting rad on whatever it is. So like when all the fixie stuff came around, people were doing that freestyle fixie stuff. I was like, it's not for me. You're not going to see me doing it, but it's people outside.
Do you like watch people hobby horsing too?
Sure.
Well, I mean, I prefer wheels. They're outside.
But I do. So, and this is just not a scientific sample, but I do see. So now, like when I just see kids on the street. And of course, now I live in Southern California, so it's a little bit different. But I do see like 50-50 e-bike versus BMX.
Yeah.
Occasionally a little bit of mountain bike, but mountain bikes are expensive. And of course, the e-bikes are more expensive too. But I see it like sort of 50-50, but I still think that a BMX bike is a little more versatile. So that maybe that might help retain longer, but we'll see.
Yeah,
So
I mean, I think
yeah.
the entry level to get into
Yeah.
those things is,
And I'm
is
also
pretty high. You
obviously
you
super
saw
biased, but-
you would see that shit in Encinitas like 2 years ago, and now it's kind of trickling to other
Yeah.
neighborhoods because
Yeah.
those things were $3,000.
Yeah,
and now they're
Encinitas, yeah.
$1,500 or $1,200 or however much they are. You know, they're the Sarongs now or
There's-
something
yeah,
like that.
yeah.
They're not like actual name brand brain names.
Hey, stand to your hands and clap
All
your
right,
feet.
brand 6.
Oh, well, the other one little thing, I think like people might be using Surons and e-bikes to get around more and cruise around more. But if you go to like a skate park, you're gonna see people riding, or anywhere
Yeah,
where like
yeah,
BMX
yeah.
is like there's places to ride a BMX.
And they're
pump
one
tracks,
legislation
jump
away from
park.
being kind of fucked.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, and they're
True.
they're racing
True.
towards it.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
know.
Yeah. So,
Anyways.
all right, brand 6. What is the current state of the BMX industry? Dire. There are a lot less customers than there were because BMX is not as appealing to young people than it was, and those kids don't stay in it for as long or go as deep as we all did in the past. I suspect that's for a combination of reasons, from having lots of other options or hobbies, tech, uncoolness, etc. And then he says more stuff, but I grabbed a different quote from the same paragraph. Everyone is trying to sell pretty much the same product at lower and lower margins in order to stay alive. I mean, this is he's kind of jumping the gun right now. So I mean, I guess not really.
Well,
I forgot what the question was. Everyone is trying to sell pretty much the same product at lower and lower margins in order to stay alive. I doubt anyone has made a profit over the last 3 years combined, which shows the lack in marketing dollar to spend on marketing BMX to new people. So if you take that last paragraph and you take, the gist, the tone is a lot different, but they are saying a similar thing. The money is still there, but it's not coming into BMX freestyle. And I think the important thing is that even if those are true, that is not limited to BMX. That is a battle that every single sport is playing. Football is probably playing. How do you get more people to play football? And how do we be relevant? And how do we keep kids off fucking video games and get out of the house? Like, it is a byproduct of literally human nature. Helicopter parents, video games, addictive fucking phones.
Yep.
It still
Sugar,
exists though.
Sugar, meth.
Yeah.
In the old school
Sorry, I'm
stuff,
kind of on
though,
one tonight. I
You
guess.
are a little
We all
bit.
hang out, baby.
But just to be
Dales.
like a positive note, like, and it
Cheers.
kind of says like people doing everything. We were out filming with the ramp, like we were at Grossmont filming with the landing ramp and everything, and this kid rolls up on an e-scooter, and he's like, "Oh, you guys filming?" And he was like 14. He said, he's 14. And we were like, yeah, and he's like, I got a BMX bike at home. You're like, oh, that's sick. He's like, yeah, blah, blah, blah. He said something. And then he like cruised off. 10 minutes later, he comes back on his BMX with his homie.
Yeah.
And he's like, yeah, we got a YouTube channel. And they were like, and they rode with us.
Yeah,
And
that's
they
it.
tried to send a gap and 50-50 the stairs.
Oh,
Dude, it was, I mean,
That's
they
awesome.
made it, but then they also like, it was exciting.
That's
That's
awesome, though.
It was sick though.
yeah.
You know these kids are they showed up on the e-scooter, but he's like, I ride BMX. And then he showed up and he had a kink, and the other kid had like a
Yeah,
Sunday.
yeah.
And they rode, and then they hung out with us for like 2 hours, and it was like, and they were actually like one of the kids like in the back of one of Clips and Dennis's last edit, like just like sitting back there watching.
That's sick.
You
Oh,
know?
he'll be stoked.
That's the thing. I was like,
Yeah.
I was actually thinking of that kid. I'm like, that he'll remember that.
Yep.
You know, like I had like random little, like I grew up where there was a lot of BMX, and I remember just having random occasions. Like this is random. It's just stupid little side story. Like I grew up in this one little area where there was an elementary school, and there was this like ramp, and there was these bike dudes riding it, and we climbed up on this roof, and we were watching them ride this spine ramp. And then I get into BMX a few years later. It was RL Osborne's like backyard spine ramp, like that the classic one, like
Yeah,
in Dirty
yeah.
Deeds or like whatever those old videos are. Like, and it was like, dude, that's
You say
I was there.
R.L. Osborne was in Dirty Deeds? That was amazing.
No, his ramp though. His ramp.
his ramp,
was.
okay,
The spine
all right,
ramp.
all right.
No, the spine
All
ramp.
right,
I'm pretty
all
sure
right.
it was.
Yeah.
They had clips in those videos, and then my point is like, I don't know.
Well, so
very
the thing,
It stuff sticks with
yeah,
you. You know?
the thing, and it makes sense because you were outside, and that kid was also outside.
Totally.
And the issue is that people aren't going outside, and people are stuck inside a lot. And this is, look at mental health of the average 13 to 20 year old or whatever the scientific studies say versus when, 15 years ago when they did the study. A lot has changed. It's a fucking Google trend. It's the same as the Google trend.
Yeah.
Like it's like a human condition, like, and I've gone on this rant a couple of times, but like it's something as dads that we gotta fucking regulate in a weird sense. And I've been like all in my head about it lately, but we have these parents, and I'm sure you do as well, where it's like, oh, you have 2 minutes of free time with nobody entertaining you. Here's an iPad. And then it becomes a pacifier. It literally becomes a Snuggie for him, and he doesn't have, or her doesn't have, any other coping mechanisms other than distraction.
Well, and parents are more addicted. Parents are more addicted to tablets than the kids.
Yeah. Might as well give them fucking weed and drugs or whatever else too. Like,
but the online stuff, like in the apps and all that stuff, have been designed to be addictive.
Of course,
you know what I mean. So it's like this is just a result of the design. You know,
so
and
turn off
like,
YouTube right now.
Well, right. Well, my rule with my kids is like, if it's light out, don't be on the screens. You know what I mean? Like, get something done during the day. Let's go out and have fun. Go ride.
I literally see like watch hours on the channel, and I feel guilty. That's like the type of like. No, I'm talking about like our BMX's channel. Sure. I'm like, that's fucking humanity. Like, I feel bad. Like it literally. That's my initial thought when I see like, in the 6 years we've been doing this, millions of hours of humanity. I'm like,
well, I'll give it like
fucking turn it off.
The little percentage that my kid make up when it comes to watching BMX, it makes him go out and ride.
Oh yeah.
So it's like that, but obviously it doesn't stand for everybody. But like
you're sitting there watching more gaming, and the whole thing is.
But I think
I'm not hating on gaming.
But
I'm saying it's like cyclical. Like, people are watching dudes sitting on the computer, and then it's like they're sitting on.
I also have a story with that as well.
Yeah. Well, let's save it. But like the aspect of having that connection in real life, and that's what that kid will have that memory with. If he watched it on the phone, not the same memory, and I think that's what we all have that version of that in different ways. You're R.L. Osborne in Dirty Deeds, I hope This episode of Unclicked is brought to you by SourceBMX.com, the world's largest BMX store, and not just in mass and orders and parts delivered across the world, but in actual size. I shot this walkthrough of the Source Park at Battle of Hastings last year, just to show the sheer size of the park. They have the street plaza over there. They have the common area with the food and the drinks. They got the bike shop, and then they have the Source Park that everybody knows and loves. Obviously, SourceBMX.com. They got the team. They drop regular videos on YouTube. They sponsor this show. We love and appreciate everything that the Source does. So if you don't have a local shop to you, hit up the next best thing, SourceBMX.com, and refresh that bike. But like, we all have that version of that moment that we experienced, not watched, but experienced.
Yeah.
And a lot of these kids are just sitting whatever, and I would love to know the percentage of views that have to happen that somebody actually goes out and they go, I'm gonna do that, not BMX, but do that. And it's like, fucking hobby horsing or something. I don't know. So that's Brand 6. I love Brand 6 because they should have had a cup of coffee or like something, a piece of like a popsicle or something before because they are. It gets great. Like, they get pretty heavy in this. So, but that was honestly the point. Like, unfettered honesty at points. So, Brand 7. Let's get through Brand 7 and 8 before we say anything else. I'll just talk. Better than people think it is. Different country by country, distro by distro, and brand by brand. But overall, for us, it's close to where it was just before COVID. So you could see how different everybody's experiences are. It's hard to know exactly how many active users or how many active riders are out there, but things have been growing for us consistently. There is still some excess inventory and more good secondhand bikes than ever. So just because some brands aren't selling as many new bikes or parts doesn't really reflect on the overall industry and market are doing. For us, it's pretty good and should be back to pre-COVID numbers this year. So, like, is BMX dead? Is the industry, like there is little sparkles at places, Brand 8, if we're still if anything, we're still experiencing some leveling out in terms of sales, but BMX is alive, kicking in on the way back up. This whole the sky is falling online mentality has been happening in other industries and just sort of fizzles out over time. Now it's reaching BMX. If you were to look at a snapshot from the last 5 years, then yes, BMX would be trending down. But 2 years of COVID sales were an anomaly, not the norm. Some brands grew way too fast during that time, and now they're feeling it. But BMX in its entirety is doing okay, and we're seeing more and more riders coming in or rediscovering their love for BMX. And so 2 positive takes. I honestly don't think there's really too much to even talk about with those. Like it's just funny. Or to see that there is a lot of variety in there, a big a
lot of different perspectives.
Yeah. So and that does carry through this in a lot of sense, but in short, like there is optimism. You can see it right now that things are trending upward, and maybe the brands that are totally fucked just didn't reply or something. I don't know. But these are the brands that replied. You can see there was 8 brands. So I emailed around 22 people. So how has the last year been compared to years past? Let's go back to AI. Brand 1, 2025 was better for us than 23-24. Sales were a tad up. I mean, same thing. 25 is up from 24. We've actually seen 2 consecutive years of growth in sales. We did see a good increase in sales to 3 of the 4 primary U.S. mail orders, and international was steady. Brand 5, our last financial year was actually our best year turnover-wise ever. That is outside of COVID years, of course. So things are looking and feeling positive for the year ahead. Brand 6, lower. At the demand participation level, BMX has been on a steady drop for 10 years. Other than the COVID blip, you can see that on Google Trends, kind of what I discussed earlier. And maybe my take isn't necessarily correct, but I see that as like, if you look at anything on there, I feel like the trend is somewhat similar in that sense. Like maybe mountain biking is up or something, because I feel like that's legitimately kind of taken off in the last 10 years. But unfortunately, we don't have data sharing in the industry that would give us a view of how things have really gone. No brands can be trusted to tell the truth. And that's, maybe 5, maybe 6 is the only one telling the truth. I don't know.
Possibly.
I don't fucking know. We had a slow but steady growth for years up until COVID, then massive spike during, followed by the massive drop-off from overstock and clearances. Since then, though, it has been back to steady growth for the last year or two. Our sales in the past year are up over 24. The BMX recession has already passed, in my opinion, and the industry is back to a normal pace. Over the past few years, we've seen a resurgence of older guys rediscovering BMX, parents in their 30s, 40s who are picking up a bike in to ride with their kids.
Have you...
I am so sad I had to read all that.
Have you reached out to Huffy at all?
They do work with us. I
was just curious because
what's the question?
They at this time where things are, BMX is dying or whatever, they're pumping a bunch of money into a new program. It seems like.
I don't. Huffy.
Okay,
yeah.
Which and they haven't done that for a while since I would think the Todd Lyons,
Yeah, but you could think about it in that day, the scale in which they're doing it now is probably a fifth or a tenth of something.
Sure, but it's all relative, right?
Yeah. So,
they're pushing. It's a push. My point is, it's a big major brand that's making a clear push, and I think there's a couple brands that are making a push. I think so it's
and that's
I think some people are seeing opportunities where other people are seeing.
When Mike Brennan was here, he was like, dude, they started Rixon, and it was like
that too.
It was like, why the fuck are you starting a bike company right now?
Something.
And he's like, because I am more driven and I will not fail. Like, and literally that was his answer.
Sure.
And it's like, you get dudes that have been doing this for 25 years, 20 years, and maybe they don't have they don't have that fire. Brennan's a freak of nature in that sense. Like,
well, Mike's the type of guy that will like go out and do it.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? Like get his hands dirty, so to speak, and like
and that company
do the work himself. You know what I mean?
Brand 6 or something probably used to do that,
right?
And maybe they're a bit further along. I legitimately don't know who Brand 6 is. So,
but I mean,
it's like,
my point is like you can see the difference with like the brands that are actually like are in touch with the industry that they're working within, and like they're involved and they're out there and there are and I think there are international brands in this too. So there are like different markets and different experiences. I think people don't adjust. They don't want to say any details, so they like don't say anything. But I mean, I'll see Brennan out, like in the world doing stuff at events and everything, And so it's like my point is like those guys that are active in the sport and doing things and making moves, like you rarely like see the sport reject that. You know what I mean? Or like the community reject that. Like, no, we don't want that.
But
that's lame. Get out of here.
I mean, when we get in,
it's not usually, so it's like the guys that are doing well, it's usually because of their effort and the drive that they have. When
we get into kind of the nitty gritty of this stuff, you'll see that it's just fucking crazy too. So it's like
well, I'm sure some guys, and I don't want to say like I'm sure some guys have been doing it for 20 or 30 years, and maybe like they had that grind when they were younger.
Yeah, that's what I was saying too.
They've been through so many ups and downs that it's like at some point
my grind now versus me at 23 is definitely different. Like it's not a dig at anybody. For everybody. It's that fire and that passion. I mean, the fire that I had in 2019 when I started ourbmx is way different than right now. Like, so it's not meant. I feel like all these people are watching this, so and I like Brand 5, you're fucking stupid. Like I'm not trying to insult anybody by saying that. Like maybe except for Alfredo.
Brand 6 was the one.
I was like, well, I mean, that was pretty on purpose. Biggest obstacles as a brand right now. Brand 1, as a USA-made company, hint, we actually suddenly had to compete with much larger industries to produce our USA-made products because people who were doing things overseas, think baseball bats and golf clubs, were suddenly going to our suppliers, which had a major effect on our supply line. We navigated through it, though. So, and just to go back, is that this answer is actually longer. But I just found... of all the brands that responded, I found that to be very, very unique. Something that maybe, in the sense that people don't think about that brand has to deal with.
When you put this up, you're going to put up the whole thing, right?
The whole thing, yeah. Okay. I still don't think I'm going to include the names.
Right.
I mean, literally people say a name or two in here as well. So some people aren't worried about it.
So like you just said, like the Brand 1 in that statement. But when you post, it's going to be that whole... The
whole paragraph, whole reply, Brand 2, the biggest obstacle we've had is related to excess inventory. This is the result of trying to meet overwhelming demand during COVID years. Other obstacles that we are seeing are mostly vendor related in terms of options and pricing. It's become more of a challenge in the last 2 years, but it's not anything that hasn't been manageable. It's just a different time, and we've adjusted to it. Brand 3, the biggest obstacles we are facing as an industry is a declining dealer base, bike shops, and smaller international dealers in the U.S. and abroad. There were about 5 core shop closures in the U.S. last year, which is palpable. You can feel that. It's very real that stuff like that is going away. Another large obstacle is that many shops are keeping inventory lean and depending on special orders and drop ships, which puts pressure on the brands to stock goods and carry the load. This new shop mentality could push kids back to mail order as less shops modestly stock BMX goods any longer, and only leading to more small shop closures. So asking the kid to wait days to order it, but I mean, they do have the perk of hopefully install and the support afterward if something goes wrong. So, but yeah, that's again, grab that because that is something that I would never, ever think about. So, brand 4 having places like this one get me in trouble, but having places like Source BMX buy out Sparky's and undercut all shops, and the industry is detrimental to all of BMX. Owning a brand that does its best to produce high quality parts, support riders and a community, it's extremely hard when kids are offered other parts at pennies on the dollar. Yeah, I mean, anything?
I mean,
It gets tricky because of strictly talking about business with that particular reply. It's like that's a real thing that happened, and how they feel about it is like valid.
Yeah.
But if we're talking about people getting to BMX, it really doesn't matter because we're trying to get more people on bikes. So whether it's a penny on the dollar or $100 or $500, who gets the people on the bikes? Now, on the other side of that, which is you talked about earlier, how you were when you were 23 and how you are now. Like, those are two different people. Like, you understand things a little bit differently. So when you get to being this particular age, like, what is said and what is written right there is like completely understandable. Yeah. But at some point, it's hard to bite and it's hard to swallow it. But thinking outside of what the penny on a dollar is, it's like actually it's about getting people on bikes. Unfortunate move, but coming back to what it actually is, and it'll smooth over once you think deeper about it. Yeah, doesn't mean that you'll recover from that blow and how that made you feel and the things you had to go through, like what you lost, but zooming out and then looking at it from like maybe a kid won't ever know that.
There is a lot of sentiment when I talk to a couple people on the phone that they have gripes with not just Source but other brands not raising their prices even though they should. And I feel like when you see, Brand 6 talk about, where was it? He talks about the communicating or something like that. Like the only way we'll change margins is by big increases in prices and stuff like that. Like he talks about communication at a point. And he said no brands tell the truth. Like that was what I was talking about. It was like when they talk to one another, but they're not necessarily like trying to work together.
It's like business
is business at the same time too.
Yeah,
and
maybe
it's like,
playing like mind games with each other.
Yeah,
like
so
like,
it's a bit difficult, and it's like, but it's fucking real for that brand. Like it's,
and to that brand's point, like you said, maybe he could have, whatever the decision was made would have been better if it was communicated. Like, hey, this is what we're doing, and that's not to take away from what that person experienced, but like to the point, like, oh, well, that makes sense. If it was communicated, it probably would have been a lot easier to like adjust to it, but also the people doing would had a better chance at being able to, adjust to whatever decision is being made, and also maybe find a way to work around it or make things work a little bit better. And it's unfortunate, like, because
it's like I think specialty shops in general, like you gotta look at like a bike shop almost as like a specialty shop, and it's like it's harder. I think like for any shop
BMX shop or bike shops in general.
Well, I mean, bike shops as a whole they offer far more. It's like a wider range of bikes, and so there's a bigger customer base. But BMX specifically, it's like it's so nuanced. Like when we were younger, there was less. I mean, there was still a decent amount of brands, but there were less options. And so, like, shops could have, like, one S&M, one, whatever, fill in the blanks. And then it's like they could have, like, most of the market maybe covered. And so if a kid came in who's a BMXer, chances are he's going to find a frame he likes. Well, now it's like there's so many frames and different sizes and color options. And it's like, think about if you're a shop trying to guess what a kid is going to come in here like, oh, let me look at your catalog and pick, I can afford 3 frames. I have space on my wall for 3 frames. I want to carry it. You offered 24 different variations, and it's like different top tube lengths and chainstay lengths and colors, and any one of those things could be like, oh, that's a rider not picking that frame. It's the wrong color, it's the wrong length or whatever. And it's like, dude, it's next to impossible for like a mom and pop shop to guess and stock it. And then it's like, and then you have places like the Source where they've come up with a business model where they're able to be like the one-stop shop. Like you can find everything there. And so like while you know, the way they got there is being a bit cutthroat, which Dan's Comp used to do the same things back in the day. Like, how many frames do you have? I'll take all of them. You know what I mean? No, you can't take all of them. We can't sell you everything. You know, we have to keep a few in there for the other shops. So that's how Dan's Comp got to be huge. You know what I mean? And Dan's Comp serviced a lot of people that didn't have core shops around, you know? And so it's like, it's an unfortunate, but you know, the scenes where there's an area that has a strong scene, a core shop can live there. You know what I mean? And so it's just like, it's a demand in the market, you know? And I think it's like, and if core shops are going away, like it's super rough. Like, honestly, but it's a mystery to me a lot of times when any BMX, like a core BMX shop is doing it. It's like, I don't know how you do it. Drive and dedication, you know, but it's like.
Definitely.
How you guess not to say guess your way through it, but for me, when I think about it, I feel like I'd be guessing my way through it. Like, I don't know what to stock.
Yeah, and that's not a dig on the companies, because they're making the BMX riders experience better by making all these different sizes.
Oh, they're
and things
listening.
That,
they're listening to what people want, you know? And it's like,
there's just a lot of
different things
that people want.
And they're so nuanced. And it's like, like, how are you supposed to stock something like that?
Well, I mean, that's why when we talked about scaling in the very beginning, I talked to one brand and they're like, any color as long as you want black. You know, like, and that's like, that was reality after COVID because they were like, that's the way we're dealing with it because it's the safest way. Like, if we have fucking whatever, but you think back in the day, just seafoam and fucking, you know, like all this shit, like all these different colorways and all this, you know, like, and you can kind of see that coming back, because now I thought of seafoam because of Odyssey and that's what I rode, but now it's like they have the coffee colorway and stuff like that. Like, that stuff is coming back, and Odyssey is in there.
Odyssey's,
you know, like, they're in the responses. Like, they are one of those responses. I don't know particularly which one off the top of my head, but like, they are one of those responses, and they are one of the ones that are like, it's kind of coming back. Like, we're good, you know. So it is. It's a hard game being a bike shop, and it's like, and I feel like it's a hard game being a mail order now, because you have so many other. You're competing with fucking Facebook Marketplace and Amazon in a sense, and fucking eBay and whatever else is out there.
Well, I mean, look at what the source does to stay relevant. You know what I mean? I'm just saying, like, they're super active. You know?
Yeah.
So it is.
To the shop, like, that's no direct dig to make you feel or try to make you feel like your point is irrelevant, but more so just like I just want to try to better understand without it being.
Well, I don't know if they're a shop, but they're saying undercut all the shops and industry. So it's like, it's talking about it's just talking about in general, like, he's undercutting everybody essentially at that point. So, brand 6. Sorry to brand 5. I guess you didn't have anything. Lack of kids riding BMX. Lack of product innovation. None of us have ideas, and if we're honest, none of us have ideas if we're honest, and if we do, the industry doesn't want to adopt anything new. No new brands or industry people. Lack of shops. Nobody is opening up new shops or websites now as brands. Our focus is to try and sell direct. There was supposed to be a comma there. Now as brands, our focus is trying to sell direct. Though we tell shops we love them, we've all been actively trying to put them out of business for the past 5 years, pushing direct sales. We've had to do it to survive, and because margins are too low without direct sales, and because margins are too low without direct sales, but we need to be honest about that. The only way that will change margins is by big increase in prices, and that would solve a lot of problems. So 6 with the brutal honesty. So
prices, to his credit, like, prices really haven't gone up. Like, since I was a kid, you know what I mean? It's like for frames, you know, like, well, $300, $400, $500, you know, like, is that kind of what frames are right now? Like, roughly,
they're going up.
But like, what's the cheapest frame you can get right now? Is it like $349? I don't know.
Yeah.
But my point is like, that's how it was like 20 years ago. Frames were like $300.
No.
Yes, dude.
No.
What are you talking
Standard.
about?
I remember
buy forks
Standard
for
was the frame
$60.
to get. That was like my dream frame, and it was $314.
Wow.
Dude, I
have that number burned in my head because that's like I saved up and saved up and saved up.
Yeah.
I bought
that was
T1.
super.
Wait, which one did you
expensive
get?
back
Yeah.
Standard what? Standard STA, you said?
then. Yeah, it was. That was expensive.
And that's kind of batshit crazy, honestly, if you think about it.
No, I bought T1 like the second batch or whatever. They were hard to get, and it was like, oh, they're selling them. And A1, this bike shop up in Orange County or whatever, they had one. It was $400.
Yeah.
$400 frame only.
Yeah.
And that was like in 98 or something.
I mean, it sounds crazy, but that $400 went a lot further back then, too.
Oh, man. It got
You get 3 candy bars for $1 at least.
Yeah.
No, I'm saying my point is like bikes are almost more expensive than, in the sense then. Sure. It's like, why is it people expect to pay less now?
No, I mean? Yeah. I think that is
costs gone up.
That is something that is very, very real, and I think there is something that if you haven't noticed that already, start paying attention because it is happening. There are several. This is in my breakdown.
What prices going up?
And so the breakdown of this is kind of jumping a little bit ahead. But so the tariff increase for brands is $30. And you get the way it works is obviously, brands have, sometimes they get the bike, sometimes it goes straight to a distributor overseas. They never actually see it. They're talking about
they
US
get it
brands.
first, yeah.
Yeah, so it goes straight to the distributor. Sometimes it comes to their warehouse. Sometimes it goes straight to the distributor in the United States, and then it goes to a bike shop. Sometimes it goes straight to the mail order. So whatever steps it takes, each one of those has their margin. And the desired margin, I think it says on there, is about 40% margin for shops. The brand's margin is 25% overseas, 40% domestic, because the margin in overseas, they don't ever touch the bike. So that's kind of the model. So when something goes up 30%, you take 30%, or $30, you get 30% here, 30% there. All of a sudden, $100 added onto the frame by the time you get it. And that is a direct result of policy change.
Right.
Not talking politics on here in any sense, but that is.
So it's like, making up for.
That is not China. That is not China paying that. That is not the brand paying that. Mm-hmm. That is the end user is essentially paying that because they're losing a little bit, the brands, but the consumer pays
adjusting
the
to
check.
the change. Yeah.
Yeah. So.
Do we know if
fucking wild, like in that sense, and I do understand the idea behind the tariffs for sure. Like I get it when you hear the one brand talking about how they had to compete with baseball bat manufacturers and golf clubs. That is people coming back to the United States to build stuff. So does it work? In that instance, it did. I'm not getting political in any sense. I'm just saying that
showing out what actually happened.
Yeah, the concept of tariffs, it makes sense because it is a race in a weird way, a long game. The tariffs are meant to be a long game. Come back to the United States, but sometimes it's not necessarily feasible in a certain industry when it's so dependent on
goods that
actually.
Yeah, got you.
So should I just jump into tariffs? I guess.
Do it.
Yeah. This is my little breakdown after talking to people. Tariffs existed before Trump in varying smaller ranges. The issue these days are twofold. The tariffs have increased and they also have fluctuated. So China has a 20% general tariff, but then it also had, for a while, it had a 20% fentanyl-related tariff, something that was taxed on to force them to control certain things. As of 11/10, the fentanyl tariff was decreased to 10%, but only for a certain time period to November 26. So Taiwan has fluctuating tariffs, and then this is a quote from a brand, and another brand also said that this wasn't true. So I take it for a grain of salt. Frames traditionally had a 0% tariff before recent policy changes. Currently, there's a 24% tariff on bars. So kind of jumping around, but like Taiwan always had some level of tariff, be it like 4% or something like that.
And that's what I was going to ask was. And maybe someone in the comments could explain, but it must be different for a complete bicycle versus bicycle parts, frames,
it is. So
raw materials.
You have stuff.
So when you're talking about people like American-made people, mm-hmm. They still got it. If they get their raw materials from over there, tariffs on that, and probably just differences in all that stuff, right?
Exactly. So if you have your frames produced reading off of this. Here, make it bigger. If you have your frames produced in China and are looking to switch to Taiwan, one of the frame manufacturers shut down sometime after COVID. It said, and so I'm not sure if I think it was Psychologic or something. They either shut down or they just stopped making BMX frames. Maybe you would know about that. Not clear on that. So during COVID, after COVID, leaving fewer options, maybe only one. The result of that is that remaining facilities now raise their prices. So it's like you're kind of damned if you do, damned if you don't type thing. The overall take, because of fluctuating tariffs and new changes, it has the air of when I was talking to people, it sounded like the stock market. Because it was like certain brands were trying to get their order on the water to them before a certain date, so they avoided a certain tariff. And then other brands, I talk about in here, the quote was that I wrote down, these are all phone call information, so it's never been more chaotic than in the last 6 months. So a brand told me that they buy yuan or Taiwanese dollars when the value of the U.S. dollar is higher to avoid unfavorable exchange rates even. Because the U.S. dollar, because of the tariff stuff, it at a point it like sank. So then not only are they getting, kind of killed on everything, they're also losing their ass on
fluctuating.
Yeah. And so it's just kind of showing the stuff that I never realized. Let alone
it's a huge industry.
Yeah, it's just like the games of it is just insane.
And also imagine this, like you want all those frames, because we think about all the dangerous shit that's going to be done on those bikes, and like you want a bike to be the absolute top quality. You don't want to be like rush, make these, get them on a boat, get them on the boat ASAP. You want to be like, get those welds right, like get this stuff good, because obviously we don't want the ramifications of shitty product being out there either, But what a crazy.
And then aspects game. I didn't think about. It says one brand thought that there would be a 30% tariff when there only ended up being a 24% charge in the end, and that's like basically the shit arrives. It's in the States. So the assumption would be that this would, because I'd be like, oh, that's great, and he's like, well, like we're potentially saving money, but our pricing structure is already out there. So now our bars are $10 more than every other brand's because we calculated incorrectly. Right.
Yeah.
And it's like, and so it's like, is it good? Maybe we sell the bars and we make extra money, or maybe we're fucked. Like, and nobody buys the bars. So it just kind of felt like it was so strategic and so difficult to navigate. And then one guy said that it got announced today that aluminum in Taiwan goes up on 20% on February 1st. He found out today. And it's like, I was like, dude, it's like fucking chaos.
Price of silver just went up.
Yeah, exactly. So it just sounds crazy. And so when you have company owners having these different experiences of like, we're doing good, we're not doing good, it makes sense, because some of these guys navigated the chaos, and we're 4 years post-COVID, so all the shit in 22, 23 was probably, exasperated 10 times 10.
I remember.
So I don't know. I feel like I'm like I've been called an industry sympathizer before. It was a great comment, but I feel like I'm like woe is me, company owner. But like it sounds crazy. It sounds like wild.
Well, I remember when like it was around COVID and Peloton was super popular.
Oh yeah,
and they bought like some godly number of seats, like 4 million seats or something crazy, and it was like I think it was from Velo. And it was like all the seats from Velo, and they're like, "Oh yeah, this is our supply for like the next 2 years or some amount." It was like everything, and so it goes back to what the competing with golf brands and whatever. They were like competing with stationary bike brands, for seat manufacturing.
Yep,
you can't make complete bikes if you don't have a seat, and then just all kinds of stuff like that.
Yeah,
and then and then everybody overcompensated, and then they caught up mysteriously. And it was like, oh, there's actually more supply.
Yeah,
so
I mean, Mueller, if you remember, Mueller was on here saying, I'm just going to pay people in seats, because it was, there was it. Yeah,
it was like, oh, they're not going to have seats for 3 years. So everyone ordered like 3 years worth of seats, and like, oh, guess what? Like, oh, we got the seats back, Your seats are arriving next month.
Yeah.
10,000 seats. You're like, holy shit.
Yeah. And that's if you think about that, you're
it's like a hustle, man. I wonder if that was like the ultimate like hustle. Because the other thing that I was thinking was like a lot of this is like product manager stuff too, you know, like brands have product managers have to deal with all this stuff and tackle a lot of this. And a lot of what you were talking about, frame quality, pre-COVID, you know, when they would do a production run, they would go to China or Taiwan, or you have an agent or somebody that is there for the QC, you know, for quality control when they're running it. Now, I haven't heard of a single product manager going back. I'm sure that happens.
It's there. Yeah, people are
sure,
there.
but it doesn't happen that often. It's a lot. I've heard the only people I hear is like higher ups going back and forth. You know, like it's just an expense they're not spending.
Yeah.
You know,
Maybe
like
I
the
would
big guys
say
used to have people like have
my
people
friend
living
here,
there.
Joey.
And that's probably the same. What's that?
So maybe I would say to you, like, we got to be mindful of like things that we don't really know the actual answer to. That's why we're here. That's why we're standing here talking about this right now. Sitting here.
Did you
you said
invite
no
this guy
product
because he
managers
doesn't
go
have his
back?
headphones on now? I guess.
Oh, Joey's Joey. Joey can hear and he
can't
can
say
talk.
it.
But no,
But-
I'm saying
but-
they used to hear about it all the time that they
Yeah.
would go back like multiple times a year, and now it's like I rarely hear it. You know, and I think that I don't know.
Is
what
it
that
because
means,
you're
really.
not around the people to hear it?
It's true.
Yeah, you ain't in
Well,
industry anymore,
this is
dude.
now. This
I
isn't
don't know,
saying
man.
this isn't saying that what you're saying isn't true, but we started this by talking about like BMX is dead, but we're like now on another side of it, looking at like the stuff that have to be navigated.
Yeah.
But a lot of what BMX is dead was based on like a person's perspective,
Yeah,
because
yeah.
things that this person may not pay attention to doesn't mean this person don't have valid points.
Totally.
But more so just like,
Yeah.
ooh, wait, I think it's like, wait a second, we can maybe
And
think
there's-
about
'cause
like
that confirmation bias can slip in, and
Yeah.
you're like,
yeah.
oh yeah.
Now,
it should-
and that doesn't mean that Fredo isn't right or you're not right, or that you are wrong or he's wrong. It's like it's just more so like at the same time I have to think about it the same way I'm trying to like be cautious or think about what a person is saying, and depending on how it make me feel and like how I respond to it. It's like BMX is dead. It's like, oh well, that's what I think. Then it's like, wait a second. It doesn't matter how I think if I can dissect it this way. And the same thing about like, well, I don't see too many people going to check the frames. It's like, what are you talking about?
Yeah.
It's like,
You're at the front
I'm
door,
not saying
Joey?
that
You're
they're
the
not
bouncer?
doing- I'm not saying that they're not doing quality
Right.
control. It's just a different process. And
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like they're for sure.
Well,
I mean,
and that's
I'm not,
not- it's
like, I have
something
no doubt. Like the frames are, you know, the bikes are just as good as they've ever been. I would imagine. Like I haven't heard anything like that. It's not like there's been a downside to that. It's
Well, it's more
just they
known,
used to
like-
go, and it's just a little different now.
Yeah, and it's just I was like what I was saying earlier. It's just not something that it seems like you want to rush to get for any other reason other than like we want to hit our sales for the next season or have our product available for the next season. Now you have all these other stressors stacked on top of it. Like I got to get on a boat on a certain time or certain date, otherwise it's going to skyrocket through the roof or whatever.
And that's all like political drama, right? That's not like COVID aftermath.
Yeah, I mean it's definitely
The tariffs,
political.
that's like
Yeah, it's
political
it's
stuff.
political, and then there's I don't even know if it's worth touching, but like during COVID, then when everything opened back up, there was the shipping companies and the same route. If it was like 1,500 to 3,000. One person said that the highest number that they got quoted was 24,000.
Right, for
at
a
its
container.
peak, for a container or product. And so it came back down, but it didn't come back down to the level it was pre-COVID.
Sure.
And so now it's like it's more than double. I think he said, I think it was 1,500 to 3,000, and now it's 3,000 to 6,000. So, and I assume they get probably the higher number more than they get the lower number, So there's just stuff like that, like Brand 7 says, even though sales have picked back up, those dollars don't go nearly as far as they did 5 years ago. And that's because a lot of brands have been probably absorbing stuff like the shipping rates and things like that because they're waiting for that to happen. And if they're the only one to raise prices, they're going to sell less, etc. And this is kind of the the crux of it, in the sense of somebody else talks about it, is getting these people that were on this mailing list together and discussing things that they can come together on. If it is new product ideas and it is changing things up slightly, or it is discussing a way to productively raise prices that benefits everybody, etc. And whether or not somebody goes with it, that is, I think, something that should happen if BMX is to evolve. The industry of BMX is to evolve, because you guys say industry because that's what we're talking about.
Right.
So,
Yeah.
It's like everything, right?
yeah. Let's rip through these and then we can kind of address them at the end, maybe. I feel like that could be a good idea. If there's something that is you really want to talk about, let me know. Biggest obstacles for BMX as a whole. Brand one, honestly, maybe media coverage and industry-wide convergence. There seems to be less centralized focus with major print mags less frequent, fewer profiles on riders being produced, less whole industry attended events like Interbike, NORA not in the USA, big contests, etc. It's harder to build heroes and reach new eyes when everything is being produced for a digital realm in silos. A lot of noise. A new rider has to filter to get to the core of things, in my opinion. Very on point, and I would agree 100% with that. And that's an ongoing thing, that it's hard to create content and spend a bunch of time and then it just fucking flops, you know, and it's hard, and I'm sure we've all been there, but sometimes it's hard to find the motivation to do that next one and stuff. So
Yeah, sure.
It is, you know, well, I'll keep moving. Sorry. Brand two. Excess inventory and heavy discounting are the two biggest culprits we feel. Is kind of sticking to industry, but that's okay. This affects shops and brands alike on various levels. Unfortunately, we have seen shops close and certain brands ending or scaling back their programs, and these issues definitely played a part in that. With that said, plenty of shops are organizing jams for the scene and being proactive with certain initiatives. The passion is still there. Brand three, losing potential riders to Bike Life, Sur-On, E-Style bikes. I think this is, did I have this in there? And even DJ, because of the skill level that's being pushed further than ever before in all disciplines. BMX freestyle riding can be started moderately safe, but what is being portrayed to the public, this is actually, this is good, is at the top of the risk level scale. The competitors have noted above the competitors. This is something that I took out. So BMX has turned into an extreme stunt show on every level. Brand four, I think we suffer from something that we have always suffered from, and that's putting us against one another. BMX is small, and both riders, brands, and shops struggle at times with shitting on one another to gain support from customers. I truly believe that if we embrace one another and work together, it grows BMX as a whole, then it in turn is more attractive to the public and grows more riders. Brand six, I wish I could do the AI voice.
Holy.
Yeah. That is two brands. Okay. But let's take a break there so I don't have to keep talking. I mean, the media and kind of the, BMX has turned into an extreme stunt show are on the same level, because I think what magazines and props and all that stuff was, it made heroes, and it showed the lifestyle, where I feel like you get bits and pieces of it, but it doesn't really like resonate the same. And even when people, Dig does Project X, did it resonate? I don't know. Like it
to the people that probably understood it, like what it was similar to.
Yeah,
like,
but like
us, like living, like, oh, that was similar.
I loved it.
Mm-hmm.
Did it make anybody
again,
fall in love with BMX though?
That's a question. Yeah,
because that was a
Did
shit
it
that
reach them?
Exactly.
Right.
Yeah, and I think that's so the crux of all problems. How do you reach a fucking 13-year-old these days? I have no idea.
Roblox chat room.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and
No.
then you get the
like, go
knock
get a
knock
BMX
knock.
bike.
Excuse me, Mister
Yeah.
Mr. Paul.
It's like, yeah, right.
Why are you in a
But take
Roblox
on like
chat?
how kids are just constantly in what we see current day, like just on the tablets or on the internet in some form. But it does seem, just like from a parent myself, it's like that doesn't speak for everybody. It's like, when we took away our son from playing the video game, we saw that he showed interest to wanting to just be doing something. Because Joey, you made a good point about like how when they're playing the game, you just get sucked in. Like you probably don't see, you don't care about anything else, but that pretty much becomes your identity, because it's something that you work real hard to get good at, and you're rewarded for it.
Yeah.
But in this or bike riding, anything that's physical in general, like no matter if it comes easy to anybody else, but it do take time to get good at it. So it's like a sacrifice that they have to make. But when they're exposed to like our BMX and they see a video such as my son, he's like, I want to go out and ride, and he like jumped down the stairs and was like, hold on to the bars tighter. You'll be okay. But I can see the thrill, and he's like, he'll ride his bike inside the crib. It's like, yo, chill out. But I don't want to stop you from doing it. But you see the wheels turning, because it was like, in order for you to progress here, something have to be taken away. Like something else has to suffer in a sense of for you to have that like that room to like let your brain run to figure out, because you should be bored to figure out what you should do. And
I saw something recently that was like it basically said like don't let your kid try everything. Tell him what he's doing. Tell him he can't quit. Don't let him quit. Oh, you don't want to do baseball anymore? You want to do soccer? You don't like soccer all that much? You could do basketball. Fucking make him play it. Tell him what he's going to do, because all you're doing is telling him that he can quit and that it's okay to be bad at something and we'll just move on, you know? And it's like, it sounds harsh, but in a sense, it's like if I asked my kid if he wanted to play t-ball, he would say no. And it's like at a point, I'm like, I'm not asking to like you're doing t-ball. I signed you up already, actually.
I feel like there's there's a difference when you feel the thing that you like, or the thing that resonates with you for whatever reason. Then it's when they're so young, told to do it.
But I'm saying the culture of it. Like, so if they grew up 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Quitting things and then doing it all and then going to the next thing. Sure. Then when they do find something that they like, are they going to hold on to it, or the first time it gets hard, are they just going to move on?
Well, I think
that's kind of like that. That's sorry if I didn't explain that correctly. Well, I'm saying the culture behind. Oh, you don't like it, little Timmy? So, you can go. Yeah, we'll just go. We'll go do something else. Like, I think that culture is like what needs to be kind of pushed.
Yeah, bailing on something because it's too hard, or because even just you've hit a hump or something, you don't like to run or whatever. It's like, no, you should try that. You get used to it, and it becomes easier to run, and you'll have more fun when you get used to it. Yeah. And then you can really engage. It's like
you're still being too passive, Joey. You say you should try it. No, fucking do it.
I'm not saying you should. I'm saying it will get easier the more you do it. Like, running right now is hard in soccer because it's your first practice. Yeah. In your fifth practice, you will feel it's easier to do it because you've done it 5 times. Yeah. And like telling them, letting them explore different things, I think is a good thing. Right. Letting them bail because something got a little tough, that's not what you want to teach your kid, And I think Brand 3 has a point, like I've heard the criticism that like street riding has become, or in some instances has become too nuanced, or like it's like so technical. And I think, it's a common and an easy direction, I think, for people to go. Like, if you step it up a notch, that's a good thing. You're taking it into new territory. You should get noticed for that. So it's kind of like it can be an obvious progression. You know what I mean? If I double bar El Toro, like I'm going to get noticed, right? ABD. Well, no, that's what I'm saying. Like that kid got noticed.
He did get noticed, yeah.
But what I'm saying, and that was just for the burliness of it. And I think we might be getting to a point where like it could be more aesthetic based. Like we might see somebody get more popular because of like more stylized, or like the way they're riding, the way they're not choosing to do a double bar spin. Yeah. It's the way they do the single bar spin that everyone is like, oh, that just looks cool.
Are we talking about Demo?
No, we talked about this with Mastroni recently.
But I do, exactly. Like Mastroni is a great example. Like he's not a traditional rider, but I will go back to his videos and watch them because they're entertaining. And I will show his videos to people who don't ride because they're entertaining. They're entertaining, you know what I mean? And they're aesthetically pleasing, just like the Richie videos. Yeah. The skate I forget his last name.
Richie Jackson.
Yeah. Richie Jackson skate videos, It's like they're fun to watch, and like those guys have like come in from a different angle, and like and the same thing with Tate. Like Tate,
but Tate's one
of those things that kind of is like heartbreaking to me because Tate should be embraced. Like Tate should be a huge thing, like and I think he's kind of like people love him, but people kind of love to hate on him too.
What I love explaining to parents is that, and really anyone, is that BMX is more fun the better you get. Yeah. The better you get at it, the more fun it is.
Don't talk, Joey.
Right? So So that's just that at the core of it, I think can make it attractive, and that can make you want to work at it. And also, of course, there's the dark side to that, and that the better you get at it, then the more picky you get.
More gnarly,
more gnarly, of course. So, but I mean, I think that's just something that.
Vans.
But I guess the problem with that is that what they're saying here is you could never be the best, or like the best stuff has already been done.
It's like
Vans.
I remember being in a meeting with Vans a decade ago, and they're like, we love Dakota because he can fucking ride off a roof, but he can bounce and fucking do this, and it looks sick as fuck.
Right.
And I'm saying like that is, and that's where, skateboarding is it has this style aspect to it where all skateboarding looks the fucking same to me. I watch a skate video for the spots. So I don't necessarily care about it, and it's like, but it looks cool. It's not necessarily like a certain shock value to be appreciated in that world, in my opinion.
Right.
And
so Tate is too abstract for what you think.
Yeah, so you're saying I don't want BMX to go to Tate.
Sure. But what about like
that's
like Simone? Like he's got
Simone is Simone, Chase D Hart, and Dakota are the triangle of fucking. I wish I rode bikes like that.
Sure. Okay.
And so that's if you talk about BMX has turned into moderately safe, but is being portrayed to the public as at the top of the risk level scale. They're talking about triple backflips and fucking all the crazy
the
shit,
excitement stuff.
And so they're saying like, let's make it look fun, let's make it look attainable, let's make it look cool. Let not quirky and fucking upside down nose manuals that are illusions. Like that's not that's Tate's version of bike riding, and more power to him. That's what he did. He was on top of a car.
I get it.
He was on top of a car.
Well, look, I guess the most important part about this is, everything we're doing right now.
You want to do a magic show? Or you want to ride bikes? Like, what do you fucking want?
Fun, dude. That's Salt Lake City crew having
fun.
But
I know. But we're talking about big picture BMX. Are you talking about optical illusions? Or are you talking about?
I guess like the bigger picture.
I guess I'm talking about the extremes.
Well, what we're doing,
exactly.
Everything that we're
Tate's
doing
on
right
the
now is
extreme of that end, and that's what I'm saying.
Agreed.
Yeah.
To what you guys talking about, style and like that's
normalizing good bike riding.
Yeah, all of it's subjective.
Yeah.
And it's like, well, I look at Tim Knoll to Mastroni, and Tim Knoll not really being a fan of Mastroni, but I can look at them and say, oh, this is very similar. This is like something that Mastroni talked about on the podcast, and it's like, oh, but realistically, it's like they are actually pretty different. But who I like more, it really doesn't really matter. It's like if I like Mastroni more, it doesn't make Tim less. And what he's saying and what you're saying is like, it doesn't make Tate less, and it doesn't make that.
I know you got approachable. We're talking about
fishing
BMX
approachable.
Being approachable.
It makes
Fishing is for sure approachable. People love fish.
I hate
America's
fishing.
pastime. It's like baseball.
Fishing. But yeah, but both are right. And again, my son watches Mastroni. He watches Boyd. He watches Tate. He watches all these people, and he pieced this together. And this isn't me like saying, "Hey, you should like this. You should watch it." He find it, but I make sure I monitor. Like, oh, you're not going on.
Well, let's be real. Is that this is talking about Nitro Circus. This is talking about exhilarating stunts and fucking the biggest jumps with the craziest tricks. That's what he's saying. Is that hey, it's kind of going too far. Where it's like, does anybody, Mega Ramp days or whatever? You're like, is anybody going like, whoa, that dude got knocked the fuck out, but then this guy pulled it. And then
too far,
like, I'm going to buy a bike.
Is a time period when you think about it. Like Matt Hoffman got pulled into a ramp to do the highest air. At the time, was that too extreme? Was that too hard? Now that doesn't mean what he's saying isn't valid from his perspective, but you gotta place yourself in the time period and make it make sense. It's like, oh, Dave Murray doing the actual first backflip drop in, or the first double backflipping contest. Is it too extreme? No, because of the time period. But you probably had people at the times like, it's too far.
Because he had to get like an oversized jump. And they had to,
and to be fair, all is correct. But realistically, in order for things to grow, there has to be somebody pushing the limits. And for any kid to get involved in it, they're going to see it from different perspectives. I didn't get into BMX like a lot of other kids. I saw Dave Mira. I wanted to be in X Games.
Yeah.
Now, I don't remember what trick he was doing, but I remember a gold bike.
Yeah.
But knowing that he's like, he has to be one of the best. Like, so I'm attaching to something that I see. And whoever at the time period that was of the age to understanding what they're watching probably was like, oh, he's doing too much. But to a kid, he's like, this is perfect.
Yeah.
I needed to see this.
Yeah.
So it is all subjective, but to some degree, somebody can attach themselves to him like, that's what I needed.
There's also the idea that only extreme stuff, only outlandish things, only shock value stuff is the stuff that pushes through the algorithm too these days. So that's why you see fucking people on basketball courts with bicycles, playing basketball or something like that. You just see weirdo shit because people are like, what the fuck is this? Yeah, and then that's the stuff that resonates. If you see all the clips that like generally do good, it's not D-Hart doing the fucking most gorgeous hop whip that has ever been seen. Like nobody
beautiful.
Yeah, nobody fucking like the average person doesn't resonate with it, and it's so like we all had those photos that we were just like, and then the shit just sunk with us, and it's just a different age. They just go, no, I'm gonna go look at this butt instead.
Well, it's definitely
like
it's definitely different. But I don't think that means it's dead.
Well, I'm just saying. I'm not saying that either.
Exactly.
But I'm saying that it's hard.
Right?
It's hard to grow that aspect of BMX when the algorithm overlord won't let you.
Yeah. Well, if you play by that game too, I think.
If we did,
true.
If we like, oh, look at this really stylish bike riding, and we host a video and it gets fucking 4,000 views, and you're like, what the fuck is wrong? Like, oh shit, he had to jump down. He had a double bar El Toro, triple bar El Toro. Like.
Well, maybe shifting the way we think about it, because like obviously we're the ones creating it and stuff like that. But we all know, like, if you do something that you put a lot of effort into, then you can do something that didn't take you any time, and you're like, oh, that did pretty good.
That's
and it's like, oh, that sucks. But realistically, it's about the reason why you're doing it.
Yeah.
And that's where we have to, all of us have to learn how to extract like what we can get out of like our efforts in doing it. Contribution, we all contribute to BMX. Not that we all make it better like through our own perspective, but we contribute, and any person that watch any of our contributions to it, if they find it and be like, oh, like I saw Ryan Willie do the craziest shit, then you would see, oh, like you watch Ryan Willie, then you see the Chase D-Hart whip. Yeah. It's like, but that doesn't mean that, oh, because you saw the Chase D-Hart whip, but one is better than the other. But it's like having options and having multiple perspectives,
that it's deeper or more than that. Yeah.
It's so important to have, though. That's why I got into the argument with Rooftop about
They're like,
Yumi.
oh wow, hey, let me put my.
I love him.
Like Yumi is so important to people.
Come on now.
No. I love Yumi too. I was gonna make a Tate joke again. So.
Obviously a joke, but like but these people are so important because of the way people find themselves and see themselves in it, and the way they can relate to them. And it's like, that's outside of me. Like I could have nothing to do with that, but this person is so important because somebody somewhere is like, yes, I want to put metal pegs on my bike. Don't know what trick he did, but because they saw the bike, so it's like something that they can attach themselves to. That and that doesn't mean what I'm saying is absolutely right, but it's like trying to broaden the spectrum of not closing anybody out based on what they choose to do.
You want it to be attainable, attainable and accessible in some cases.
So in the same vein, Brand 6, we should probably accept that the best riders to ever do it have already done it. There will be no better street riders in the current crop of guys in their 30s. No vert rider will be ever better than Bestwick. No trick guys will ever be better than our Willie. Trails riding has peaked. New kids coming in can't build their social
Brand
following.
6.
Yeah. Can't build their social following and can't see product like previous generations. Maybe they meant sell. I don't know if or see product like that. I don't know. They will never have the opportunity that current riders had to be paid when they were young and go on constant trips and to loads of contests. We all need to think of BMX as something people do, and let's get in an industry where more and more people experience the enjoyment of riding being part of something. Let's focus on the fun and fun events rather than being obsessed with the progression of pro riding. The vast majority of young riders can't relate to it. So it basically says the same thing, but it's just you just package it in with some savagery. So I mean, I'll agree to at least one thing. There will never be a vert rider as good as Jamie Bestwick.
I don't know that that's true. I mean, how could you say
how
such
do we
things?
know?
You
Yeah.
know, that's wild. And our Willie is young. Like 5 years ago or 10 years ago, we're not hearing about our. That's what's so funny. Like no trick guys will ever be our Willie. Like no.
Hold on, why-
wait till he takes someone under his
13-year-old
wing.
that is
Yeah.
riding with
Ooh,
our Willie
true.
down
Yeah.
the street. He's gonna be
Yeah.
the
Wait, who'd
next
you say?
Sav.
Yeah, wait till he takes someone under his
Saying
wing.
like
Oh, yeah.
like the young
Yeah,
kid
true.
that grew up down the street from our Willie that like grew up with that ramp and got to watch and like
starting
and,
at an early age,
yeah, and like,
like-
and saw that like that was his norm.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
know,
Yeah.
like that's how it always is. It's like the pro, like, you know, Garrett and Dennis, they saw the norm being like Mira and Bestwick. And then they were like, oh, we accident like Dennis had the craziest story. And you know, and the thing is too, is like this person, you know, I love Brand 6, you know, but like you can never tell like what the next wave is gonna be, you know, like
Right.
I knew Dennis when he was pretty young and he was part of a pretty big wave, you know, like he had success like young, right?
Yeah.
But then I had also heard like eras when like Wilkerson bought a house when he was 17. And I don't know that era, but
Yeah.
like there was an era where there was teenagers in BMX buying houses in the 80s, you know, and like there was no Dew Tour in the 80s. I don't know how they were making that money, but they were,
Yeah,
you know what I
yeah.
mean? And if you have another Dew Tour or another thing that comes into play, there can be another wave of people like teenagers coming into the sport and making big salaries, you know, and like, and so, but at the same time, like the last couple sentences, I agree with, you know, like I think, you know, so part of it I agree with, part of it I don't agree with, you know, like I just think like to cap it, I think is being pessimistic, and I think
Yeah,
you know,
because I don't
like-
think everyone's obsessed with the progression. I don't think
No.
everyone's obsessed with the next big thing.
Well, because the kids
I think-
grew up with the current like high level as the norm, they just look at it as the norm, and then
Yeah.
and then they're gonna try to take it to their high level, you know, the same way that Garrett and Dennis did, you know, in their generation, and you know, who's doing it now.
I think trail riding has figured that out, of like the culture of like fucking come out here and it's great. It's peaceful. Ride some jumps. Don't do a single fucking trick, and just enjoy the community of it. Like
Yeah.
at least in certain little pockets around the world, it seems like they really have
I
figured
just think
that
trail
out.
riding is like
Yeah.
the least accessible, like most
Well,
like underground.
because there's a
aspect of all
there's a burden
riding.
of entry, and it
there's
attracts
just so
a
few
certain
real
part of person, a
places.
certain person. Yeah.
So few like
Yeah.
real trail locations, you know.
But I mean, I do think that they have figured that out.
Yeah.
Like I was.
Yeah, they
You
have
know,
found a nice
just
balance
because
for
there's
themselves.
not that much of it. Why he's like a fucking just like
right.
let me just
Yeah.
poke a hole in it. Like just agree.
I'm not hating on it.
Like literally
No,
just
and
agree.
it's really
Like why?
I love
why,
trail guys.
Yeah,
No,
you're
'cause
you're
it's the
right,
most-
but
it's
there's
the
not
most
that many
inspiring.
of them.
It's one of the most
Like-
inspiring communities because they're just building it from the ground up. But
Yeah,
they just everything around it. You know,
Yeah,
they
yeah.
create it, they do it. It's the work ethic that it teaches those youngsters getting into it is just incredible.
Yeah.
You know, I mean,
True.
So there definitely will not ever be a better rider than Bestwick. You're objectively wrong. Brand 7. Moving on. Probably the ability, Brand 7, will allow
You'll get
the
it back
ability
later. You'll get it
or
back
lack
later.
thereof to market BMX to a broader world outside of BMX itself. I think that's always been a plight. I mean, from the first days of Ride, it's like, how do we get more kids on bikes? That is always the most important question that has existed in BMX since I ever joined this world. So is there an answer? Is there a single answer? No. Is there many answers? Yes. Does it take a lot of people doing a lot of stuff that is mentioned in here of building those bridges and creating those moments of, you know, the kid that went back and got his bike and you may have created a lifelong BMXer right then and there. And it's like, and then I've said the story before, but like when we did BMX Day this year, there was a kid that I saw at Dallas Park And then I dropped my kid off the day after BMX Day, so Monday or whatever it was. And the kid was back there, and he was like, he was skating before. And on Monday, he was riding his BMX bike, and he came up to me and he was like, BMX Day is way better than fucking skateboarding day. Like, he was literally like, because he was a skater, you know, and he was like, got on his bike, and, you know, and it was like, I was like, that was a dot in the idea, you know, like he resonated with something, and he had a good fucking time out in the world. That's and cool. Like
that right there proves Wild Tate is style.
And you know,
start talking about Tate.
I think though, in general, we're talking about like two different things. Like
he's a fucking launmower.
Me?
What you take?
Yeah, he pulled your string. He just pulled your string. You just like.
No. I'm about to talk about Tate. No, what I was saying though is like it seems like this whole conversation too is kind of talking about two general different subjects as far as like industry and brands trying to sell product, which is what we're seeing a lot of here, we're hearing a lot about, and then the other side is like kids being exposed to BMX, or like the world being exposed.
Well,
to
in that
BMX,
sense, that is my job. It is my job to expose kids to BMX, and it's like it's a hard fucking job these days. And plus, I'm old as shit, so who the fuck cares? But
you know,
no, but I think, and that's been my frame of mind too, is more of like, you know, trying to get the content out there rather than trying to like sell hard goods.
Yeah.
But it's like, it's two different worlds, you know? It's like, it's two different successes of BMX, I guess, you know? It's like, is BMX visible to people, and are people seeing it and engaging with it? Or, you know, are people buying BMX frames and P&A? And I think those are two different issues.
I'm going to skip.
I mean, they're connected for sure.
I'm going to skip brand 8 because it's kind of along the same vein, but brand 7 talks about the other thing, and I'm not sure how much it really does or doesn't matter, but some of the negativity, wild, inaccurate speculation about brands or BMX in general, and honestly industry talk in general to some extent. The truth is some brands are doing good, supporting riders, doing good things in the community as much as they can, and more importantly, there are still tons of kids out there just riding BMX and having fun. And more importantly, that's our problem. That's what we signed up for. Like the drama part of it is that's your burden by entering the industry. We would never want to burden riders with any of that, and we just want to give riders a great bike to go ride and have fun, and hopefully keep BMX as pure and bullshit free as possible in whatever way they want to be involved with BMX. And that is a fucking great point, and I think that's part of the issue that people who have been in this long enough see with the video that Alfredo made, and this rhetoric that it's like BMX is dead because it's not exactly what it was when you were in this shit. And I think that's the overall issue, is like what positivity does that bring? What, you know, just because you said a couple of words like, no, it'll never die at the very end, doesn't mean that the video as a whole had a positive impact. Right. And by any means. And it was self-serving, it was inaccurate, and it was not fucking cool. And that's the issue overall with stuff like that. Right. And I don't want to talk about this stuff. I don't want to spend fucking 8 hours researching this shit and calling a bunch of people or whatever. But it felt like I was like, God damn it, I kind of fucking... And I had people who were like, I don't think you should do it. I was like, fuck, I'm in it. Like, we're doing it. So, but it's important to like at least put it out there and at least a sense of there is nowhere else where a brand owner is saying, oh yeah, we're actually doing all right, guys. It doesn't exist out in the internet. Like, brands not going to say it, but we have 7 or so brands in here going, yeah, we're actually doing pretty good. We've had 2 years of year over year. We're doing fantastic. We're almost back pre-COVID, you know? And it's like, is there more bad shit to come? Sure, because not all brands are doing that. You know, like we all know news. I'm sure everybody at this table knows news that we're not supposed to talk about that is coming. But the idea that the industry is going away and all this stuff is just inaccurate. And it's just not.
And like
it doesn't do anything.
Got it from the horse's mouth, like you did and reached out, and like any person that will see this and they get to read it, it's like,
if you're this
you
deep,
can't question
yeah.
it. And the reason why, because like there's literally people. These are people that are doing it
Yeah.
from that end. You know, like
Yeah,
you can hear from
they
a
live the
rider
shit
all day.
every
You can hear
day.
from us all
Yeah.
day about what we like and what we don't like, or the truth about
Yeah.
what we experience. But realistically, on this side, which kind of like in the actual realm of like business and company, it's like, oh well, I guess it's not dying, because obviously we know that people are going to still be riding bikes. But
Yeah.
from this perspective, on the actual idea of it being dead, it's like
And when things have
Here it is.
been bad for a couple of years, it's not like the moment it gets bad, it gets reflected outwardly. So when it's been bad for a long time, that's kind of when you start to see that shit is like it starts to affect the outward facade of the
Sure.
company.
So you see the
They start to pull back in a palpable way that normal people notice. So it has been shitty, but it's actually trending in the right direction right now. And it's a very, as the one person said, chaotic. Literally the most chaotic 6 months they've ever experienced. And this is an industry person that has been in.
Yeah.
I know who. I mean, that was a phone call quote. That was a person that has been in this shit for 2, maybe 3 decades.
it's very, very valid to speak.
So
on that
it says a lot.
Yeah.
So that's the shit that like these are the, in the sense of like you want to point at companies for making decisions, again, industry sympathizer, but like this sounds fucking hellish to me, like dealing with all the
respect,
fucking
respect
like,
to them for dealing with all that.
And
That's-
since,
Right.
like I've said, like the hardest job it seems like is like
Yeah.
the product side,
Yeah.
product
Yeah.
management side of BMX and navigating all of this stuff.
You've done
seems like-
you've done a lot of that stuff.
No,
yeah.
not really.
Or
I've
seen it
sort of
closely,
been
you watched it
around
closely,
Yeah,
yeah.
been around it to know like, oh, that's kind of nightmarish.
Yeah.
You have to deal with all of that, and I mean, this is all, tariff based and things like that. But I
Yeah.
mean, they have so many different supplier issues and just all kinds of stuff,
Yeah. Yeah.
I had a guy tell me once where he's like, yeah, they'll tell us like, oh, we shut down a factory here, and oh, we're just gonna scoot everything over here, no big deal. And he's like, it'll be the equivalent like if it was the States, like we were in Chicago and now they moved it over to like Phoenix, And you're like, dude, it's not next door.
That's
Yeah.
not next door,
That's
yeah.
like a long way away,
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
and he's like, yeah, it was wild. It sounded like a movie.
Question
That sounds
5.
insane.
So this is the tariff focus. So we've already kind of touched on this, but I want to make sure I read everything just to make sure that I don't miss anything in the end. So this brand 2, I skipped 1 for some reason, which must have been not unique info. Try to absorb the tariffs as possible, but we did reach a point where price increases were needed, unfortunately. Prices on certain items up around 10 to 20% in addition to tariffs. Cost increases as well as brief spikes in exchange rate, which I talked about earlier, have also played a factor. Brand 3, the cost of goods increase started in 2021 once the sailings from Asia resumed, and every brand around the globe was trying to get its products out of China, Taiwan, etc. This basically supply and demand game, what I talked about earlier, just fucking 8x costs. Because of this, the raw materials pricings increased and brands had to start adjusting pricing upward. So I think this is the USA made company. So they're just talking about the price of the materials to make bikes. It went up because of shipping. So
okay.
it's not even like,
And you mentioned that earlier,
Yeah.
about like the goods, like if it is an American made brand, but like where they get their goods from, it's like if that goes up. It's
yeah.
like,
So adjusting pricing upwards while not making any additional profit, in some cases actually losing margins to move overstock bought higher and shipped with at higher costs. The entire globe was subject to these cost increase, though shipping rates have since rebounded pre-COVID levels, and now that the global consumer demand has fallen. So like there's stuff like that where they're saying basically that it rebounded at pre-COVID, but then the other person I talked to said that it's still double. So people have different experiences there as well. So maybe one person has a better rate than another person. It's not like linear across the board. Brand 4 being American made, people think that, tariffs won't affect you, forgetting that material originates from overseas, kind of the same thing being to be sewn, machined, or welded. Tariffs have been tough. It's affected the cost of everything, so it's hurt most brands and shops. I know it's supposed to help American businesses, but I haven't seen it go that direction yet. I'm just holding on and hoping. For us, tariffs have only really taken effect this is one that I didn't necessarily understand. So that's why I put it in here. The tariffs only really affect direct selling to end consumers in the U.S. For us, it's way too complicated to do so now. Prices in the USA have risen due to increased costs for shipments into the USA. Then this helps bridge the gap in price variances from U.S. mail orders and given countries' local shop prices. This is positive for local shops outside of the USA with helping keep sales inside these countries. I think there's maybe a typo in there that's making it harder, but it seems like maybe the U.S. reflection of mail orders, and when people look at stuff, it's like making the pricing in the shops overseas better, and that in turn is like helping them out or something.
No, it sounds like too, they're just saying that the tariffs are making it to where the shops in other countries are keeping sales, or like, you know, the sales inside each, or the sales from each company
just get it
sales
out.
From each country, which might be going to like mail orders, are staying now in country and going to like local shops.
Okay,
in
so
those countries.
that was one that I read it like 4 times and I was like, I don't understand this, so I'm going to put it in here.
Seems like there's some typos in there, but it sounds like it's like he's saying it's only negatively affecting the USA customers.
Yeah.
So maybe this brand 5 is not a USA-based brand.
And that's notable as well because, again, like the one company said that 20% of their business is in the United States. So when we're talking all the gripes, everything online has been USA-based.
Right.
And so when they're feeling that, et cetera, it may not be a reflection of...
Well, and that's the other thing that's kind of funny from Alfredo's video is like everything he had was all USA stuff.
Yeah.
And there's some, there's like some countries, right, like some regions right now that are doing like arguably a lot more stuff than we are.
Yeah.
Not as like a slight on us, but just saying.
They're
really active.
It's surprised. When that 20% number, it actually caught me off guard. I was thinking it was going to be like 30 or 40. Like 20%, like 1.
Right. That's actually that's a lot less.
Yeah, for a USA-based company with USA team with USA, it was very surprising. Brand 7, we found ways of offsetting or mitigating tariffs in some ways in some products where we can, but the price increases at the retail level for us is 10 to 20%. Brand 8, the price increases are a negative, but compared to other industries, BMX is in a much better place, relatively speaking. Many brands had already moved their full productions to Taiwan, so the tariff increases aren't as bad as they could be. On the customer side of things, you may see major price increases on certain product, but little to no change on other product. So there is stuff, I didn't have it in the sheet, but like a shadow chain. It went from something like you can find it both online for $65 and $115.
Okay. Wow.
And that's basically pre-tariff, post-tariff.
Jeez.
Wow.
And basically like the pins that go inside are made in China, or vice versa. Sorry if I'm getting this incorrect, and then it's like a split, China and Taiwan. But however it fucking hammers out that tariff, and then by the time it gets to the end consumer, it's almost double, and it's very palpable in that sense. And then what was the other thing that I had? Reading that, I had it in my head, and now I cannot. So there's stuff like complete bikes. There's a rule that says, and I feel like I'm so industry now. Something like less than 60%. I just find it interesting. Shit that I've you ride BMX for so long, and you're like, what the fuck is this?
You're old in industry.
Yeah,
industry.
Yeah, sympathy. I just have so much sympathy for the industry.
You're watching it close. You like.
Yeah, I was talking about being an industry sympathizer. I love that comment. I was like, dude, that was on point. Where did that come from? It was on YouTube. I don't know.
You're an industry sympathizer.
Yeah, like it was something. I was like, damn. I guess I don't know, but if you make a bike in China, you can, or if you make a complete bike, you can make less than 60% of it in China, and then ship it to Taiwan, and then assemble the rest of it, and it loopholes a tariff to some level. So I found that to be super interesting as well, and just like workarounds, again, going to one brand having success and one brand not. Like, I don't know. There's just games and chaos and fucking, all this stuff happening and people buying yuan and, like.
It's wild. A lot of different things.
Yeah. It seems just brutal.
I thought about, because we talking about like brands outside of BMX too, like kind of still running the same line, like dealing with similar stuff from their perspective. The U.S. brand that like do 20% here sounds to me like it's the same. How like if we look at the cars that we drive, are they all American-made cars?
Yeah,
they could possibly be made in America, but they're not an American-made brand.
Yeah.
So it may be reversed, like where you have all the companies that may be American companies that get their parts like sourced or built in Taiwan, and kids may choose or dudes may choose to ride those parts as opposed to somebody in maybe Japan like, ooh, like I want like the American made brand because whatever they like about it. So it's like just reverse maybe. I don't know, but it's like interesting to look at it that way because obviously that's pretty interesting that it's 20% like you said rather than 30. But
question 6, what immediate and or long-term solutions are there? Brand 1, we've had to trim the fat, so to speak, but our core crew is solid and the riders on the roster want to be a part of what we're doing. We still make cool shit with them a priority because that's a big part of what we do. A big part of what we love about this business, the people and riding and inspiration we can share. So just a solid, like, motives, is it like focus on doing the shit that you enjoy, and sometimes that just carries itself at points. Brand 2, from a business perspective, the solutions are the same as if the brand is booming. Moving forward, strategic ordering and inventory management are key, as is pivoting quickly when needed. Proactive sales crew, constant marketing, shop outreach, active team riders, and customer service are all crucial. Keeping reliable product affordable is also very important. The riders need to trust your brand as well. So kind of what you were saying, Brian, is like, Brand 3, the short-term solution is watching purchasing more than ever, reducing expenses where we can, and if there is a new wave of kids buying BMX bikes and parts, at all levels in 2026, a long-term solution might be for the brands to form an industry group with an annual summit to discuss what we're all experiencing and how to best navigate the difficulties together and succeed together. I think that's one of the most crucial things that BMX is missing. I don't know if you guys I can't even remember where it got mentioned, but Ride tried to do that. It was Ride. Yeah, it was Ride.
Bike, right?
Yeah, we tried to do it at Interbike.
Like a long time ago, right?
Yeah, it was a shit show.
Yeah.
Who messed it up?
Magoo.
Yeah.
Glorious shit show. Ended up yelling at Magoo. I was like, nobody fucking cares. Can you stop talking? Like one of those, had an outburst,
Damn.
But
you gotta have like a gavel and a podium.
But the intention was there, and I think maybe BMX has possibly matured enough where brands could be willing to get together. I mean, I remember Crandall doing this in New York, talking about bottom brackets back in the day. Just trying to get people like, can we fucking decide? American, Euro, stand, whatever the fuck whatever, like all the different ones. So, it's important. I think there's certain things like the fucking track of a BMX hub, like making it a little bit wider so it's more stable, and then we can make the back ends wider and the forks wider, so if your rim gets a little bent, you can still run the same tire and it doesn't fucking rub so easily. Like there are small little things that an industry can come together that would be, a slight tick objectively better, but it'll also date all of those old bikes that are still floating around that are little fucking death traps that, fucking Ty Morrow rode this for, I always use the Bill quote, Ty Morrow rode this for 2 years. I've been riding it for a year. I'm like, you're going to die.
What?
It was a Bill quote.
What was wrong with the bike, though? I don't know.
It was great by Ty doing savage stuff. Bill riding it has been around for a while.
If Ty Morrow rides a part for 2 years,
sure.
It's
ready to retire.
Fucking you just
okay.
Yeah,
it's just a bomb. Like so,
I never thought about that.
Yeah,
but you think about it, but not in that. That's amazing. That's true.
Yeah, he told me, and I was like, "You're gonna die. Like, what the fuck are you doing?" And he actually called me out recently too. He's like, "I'm I've been paying attention. You've been on those forks for way too long. Fair play.
Because I was going to say that was always the part that I would not
forks.
hand
Yeah,
down.
It was forks. Yeah,
that was always the part. Like I'd always give away
I throw
old
'em away.
parts and stuff to like
No
friends.
forks.
I would not give the forks away.
I shot
if I stop riding them, there's a reason. I don't want to be responsible for something.
When
like
when I got my bike, when I got new parts from Sunday, and including a frame, I took my frame and I put it in the trash can.
That thing was crazy.
And I shot a photo of it, and I was like, Nuno, can I post this? And he's like, I'd prefer you didn't. And I was like, dude, I was just gonna.
You wrote that bike for a long.
Yeah, I wrote it for way too long, and that's why I just threw it away. But it was like, I just wanted to be like, I rode this for way too long. I'm not giving it to anybody. It is trash. It was worth money. It is now trash.
Trash. I won't pass this on.
Yeah,
to anybody.
let it go.
Yeah.
You know, like I don't care.
Yeah,
I don't care
cursed.
if you like your friend and you want to give him a frame. Give him $50. You know, like if you like him that much, give him $50. Don't give him a fucking warped ass frame. You know, that's fucked. So that was the idea, and he's like, please don't. You know, but it's like that idea of like having a line in the sand. Of like, this is an older, you know, it's like if you were to go buy a bike and it had a fucking threaded headset. How old is a frame that you could just, if you weren't in this shit and you're like buying a BMX frame, how old do you think that frame could be before somebody would realize? It could be 15 years old.
Could be.
Sure.
And that's crazy.
Yeah.
And so you're saying industry summits could like get together and change like the standard of
and just
bike,
draw
and
and
then
just
it would, like,
yeah
somehow
and it
date
would
the
and it
old
would get
ones.
and it would get more sales, but it was like that's part of it, but it's also objectively better, objectively stronger by a small tick, yes.
Sure.
But it also it dates shit. You go, your bike is old because you have the different track.
Oh,
width.
so that's pretty much kind of like people coming together, but
It's like
when
planned
you
like an innovation.
yeah,
Yeah.
but-
Planned obsolescence. Like you wanted
Yeah.
that stuff to be obsolete. Like that
Yeah.
stuff needs to go away.
because
It's old enough.
because at a point it needs to. Otherwise, you could go on OfferUp and buy a fucking old bike, but you know, like, oh yeah, this is a 2024, and it's actually a 2016 because you can't fucking tell.
Can't tell,
Right.
Yeah.
And that's kind of like my ongoing gripe with that is like at a point you need to make these things obsolete just to get them to be old, because people don't want old shit.
Right.
Just because an iPhone 5 turns on don't mean nobody wants it. Like nobody wants old shit, and you just can't tell if BMX shit is old. So
Yeah.
and it's unsafe,
But you
and
do
it's
have
like
people that
unsafe.
do want
I was
the
going to
old
say
stuff.
that because like if an iPhone 5 still rips like a 17 does or whatever, it doesn't
Yeah.
throw
It's
that
like,
shit.
yeah.
Let's do it. But
Fucking skip that thing across a lake.
yeah.
but no, bikes are different because
Yeah, it's a safety thing.
safety
It's
thing.
an objectively better thing. It's like it will get more sales, and it's like it checks all the boxes in my head. And maybe that's not the correct thing. I've also said on here, I asked Moeller, I was like, why don't you just product date products, like stamp stuff? And people are always like, oh, if you look at the thing, blah blah blah, it says kind of the date. It's like baked in there, and I'm like, no, fucking July 2018. Put it on there. You know, like just so the forks are fucking 7 years old.
Yeah.
Just do it.
Why doesn't he?
Because especially during COVID time, and this isn't strictly a Mueller thing. I'm sure other people have thought about the reasons not to do this, but it's especially during COVID. There's an answer in here where they talk about Complete Bikes, how there was a lot of overstock
Yeah.
for a couple of years, and so that's why.
Yeah.
Because you don't buy a 2025 and stamp 23.
Sure.
So I'm sure that's part of the fear
Yeah.
of it. And even when we did that when they did that summit at Interbike, a lot of the gripe was, I think kink was the shame on you or something like that at that point. But it was like about releasing, whatever year it was, I'll say 2018 bikes in like fucking first quarter 2017.
Right.
So it was like they were the
something like
first
that.
one to jump on that, and it was like they got their order. They got their order quicker. What are they going to do? But it's just that idea of like, you just, as soon as they come out 2018 bikes, everybody else's bike is old. So
Right.
ain't nobody want old shit. you know? So
that would be the better benefit of kind of coming together is coordinating things like that.
Exactly.
Model year releases and things so you're not undercutting each other.
Yeah, and maybe if it's like, you know, these 8 brands are fucking doing this, they fucking, you know, draw straws or, you know, rotate who drops what when, you know, you get the early drop this year, in 4 years this brand gets it or something like that. I don't know. But
does any industry do that? I don't know that any industry does.
Probably not. Yeah, I don't know. But I mean, who knows? I mean, you know, it's all utopia.
I don't know if I'm going to hold my breath for that one.
Yeah, that, I mean, that, dude. Yeah, people are laughing at me right now for sure. But I mean, that's silly. But I'm saying the track thing and drawing that line, I think, has to happen eventually. I think it really does. It's got to be a bottom bracket. You know, like you have an American bottom bracket, old. Threaded headset, old.
Dated bikes are a problem.
I think dated bikes.
I don't even think anything about that ever. Maybe I'm like disconnected.
I mean,
no, I don't know.
think the biggest problem I probably run into with bikes is just more so kind of like, I ride plastic pegs and plastic hub guards, and obviously, plastic quality changes and depending on like where you got it from. But like some will shatter, some don't. It's like why isn't this? Oh, like obviously temperature has a lot to do with it. It's like if I'm somewhere where it's really cold, it's gonna shatter. But realistically, if you've ridden a product like how many years,
like National City or something?
No, like I went to good point. I went to Ohio like a few years ago, and I had never shattered like I think it was an animal peg. I had never shattered one.
Yeah,
and I was riding first day. I was like, I was talking. I never really shattered these pegs. First grind, boom, just blew up. It was like, oh, it's cold. It's like really, really cold. But it's like one of those things I think about. It's like, the weather's consistent here, so I'm not really shattering stuff. But like you have multiple free coasters, all different hub guards. So it's like, well, this don't work. Then you shattered it. This one don't work, and it's like
proprietary stuff.
Yeah, I mean, obviously I can do more work to figure out like to make sure I have ample amount of these things. But like stuff like that where I can source it out and figure it out, but to a person that may not have that ability or even have that opportunity or the situation to be able to sort those things out. It's that's a huge struggle where you're going to grind without a hub guard or you're going to do these things and now you're breaking chains. You're breaking out. So it becomes an actual problem. So certain things could work better if people came together to figure it out.
And I think
it takes a lot.
And I think like, you know, like we the people doing the larger clamp on the bars. You know, it's like that takes coordination, and if the whole industry doesn't jump on that and go, hey, this is better, then
that's just marketing. I mean, not to say but we did that. I mean, there's several people who've done the bigger clamps. Yeah, bigger clamps isn't a new idea, but it's just like introducing it to more people and getting them on board with it.
Yeah, but I'm talking about the brands all coming together and marketing it together and saying as an industry, this is better and we're going this way.
Sure.
And then because then you go, all right, well, that's an old stem and that's an old bar. And I just think that BMX, as said it on here many times, the most beautiful thing about it is that it does stay the same. And that it is perfect. Essentially,
it really the same since it's been created. It's 2 wheels.
Yeah, it's like, BMX though, like a BMX bike has not evolved. Like look at mountain bikes, look at all this shit, and it's like BMX to a fault. It is like we fucking did it. Look how beautiful it is.
It has evolved a lot. Actually,
don't change a fucking thing. Yeah, you know.
I'm gonna give you that. Yeah.
But
22-inch baby.
Yeah.
Oh yeah,
the simplicity of it.
That bike is sick.
Quick release front wheel, baby.
Ooh,
quick release seat post.
Bro, Rickson, bro, they got the quick release seat. Yeah.
All right. Bro.
And what company just make the 17 in the seat post?
That was already done though.
It has. It has already been done.
Yeah,
it's like
a lot of
stuff.
Done. It's funny seeing people resonate with that.
We just saw a storm door that all the bottle kids did.
That was
fire.
Sick.
So sick. And it was made out of metal. Yeah. And we did it in like 2014. But it doesn't really matter because they did it in their own way.
Yeah,
so it's like that's fire.
Yeah.
So it's kind of like the same thing. It's like, hey, it's already been done, but some people never seen it.
It's true.
Yeah. It's all new to a lot of people.
All new. Yep.
Let's see.
I think the industry coming together would be better, like as far as just figuring out how to, you know, approach that whole model of like, you know, if it's selling direct or them having retail shops or mail orders and just how that all fits together.
Yeah.
You know,
I think if they could get together like 3 times, some real shit would happen. But again, my ideas are from the perspective of somebody who doesn't run a company, doesn't understand that stuff. So it's just like, I'm just saying that I do think that a group positive stuff would come from it for sure.
I've actually. Never mind.
All right.
Brand
Ford.
Let's hear it.
Brand
No,
Ford.
I just
Come on.
I'm an elbow.
All right.
When I did the first can jam,
No,
He was the first. He was the first.
I will know what I was going to say.
shoes. I
Oh,
got
here
them.
it is. Here we go.
Can
Here
pull
we
the
go.
cord
all
on
I'm going
them.
to say is
Rip it, Joey.
No, I know of like one other industry that does like these sort of industry summits where they bring together companies and like professionals and they discuss like the state of the industry and like evolving technologies and where it should go and all these things. And there's a company that like that's their whole thing is like creating these events where they invite all of them and they invite, you know, individuals as well. Like they create a program that attracts these different people. You know what I mean? They have things that attract the companies. There's business opportunities. So the companies come and the industry leaders come, but then they also have like workshops and you know, job fairs and whatever. So like all the individual people who are like in that industry come too, you know, and that's like, it's kind of like the only time
I got
can think of
fucking
it.
crackers and Dales in a room. Show up.
No, that's the thing. Like, no, that's. But I'm just saying, like, you're trying to solve the problem yourself. But
Come
I'm
on
just
in,
thinking,
boys.
like, how do you get the industry together? And it's like, you know that like Muller's not gonna reach out to Robbie, and they're not gonna reach out to the other one, and they're not gonna call like Law, and they're not gonna get together. It's like it's gotta be
really
some
close, too.
outside source that like and all those guys that I just listed within 20 minutes of each other.
Yeah.
And they're not gonna hit each other up. And it's like
all those motherfuckers in robes at midnight holding candles around something for sure.
But you need like if you're gonna do it, you need somebody to bring them together. Incentivize it.
True. Well, I tell you, what probably would help.
Damn, I'm sorry. I don't know why I'm so
down.
unfiltered tonight.
Well, no.
Literally drinking NA Dale.
Do
So
it.
Yeah, dude, shout like
Tate should come do the podcast.
Look,
It'd be hilarious.
Tate, he's
He'd have to sit upside down the whole time.
San Diego. He's
He might what?
He'd have to sit upside down the
He
whole
might
time.
be moving to San Diego.
You're a hater.
Well, see,
not hating. I'm a
listen,
joker.
Well, you gotta think about it. He said we should bring the BMX company should come together, but when that happens, it takes a lot of people to lose their biases to make things work.
Yeah.
You agree?
Yeah, bias. Yeah, sure.
Okay. So what do you think about Tate?
I love Tate.
Well, the reason why I'm bringing that up, obviously,
I
it's a
do.
joke.
I have zero issues with Tate, but
know that.
I can call it for what it is, and he shouldn't get pissed off. So.
Right, for sure.
Yeah.
But the reason why I bring up that point, but just like if in a meeting when this was a thing and whoever was talking most is like, hey, then you ruined it. So basically using that as
you weren't there. I mean, it went
I
on
can
for
only
a long
imagine.
time before I said anything. Look at this wall. Look at this wall. Look at this wall. Look at this wall. One person
Not
cannot
looking at
look
the
at the camera.
camera.
It was Magoo. He couldn't stop talking. I love him. But he has the longest podcast, 6-hour podcast.
He's very, very knowledgeable too. Like he knows a lot.
Yeah. If you're an industry person and if you're interested in if you made it this far in this podcast, after you're done, sleep for like 10 hours and then wake up and listen to the Magoo podcast.
Maybe
because it is amazing.
Might be the person to bring it all together.
Yeah. I mean, it is true.
I don't know.
He texts like he talks. It was very long text. He texted me recently, and I was like, "Fuck, I need to get to my computer." It's just hard, you know.
Yeah.
So, let's move forward or backwards.
I went to a housewarming party at Magoo's house one time, and he had donkey rides in the garage.
Oh, what?
Real story.
In the garage.
Yeah.
In the
He
garage.
had a live donkey in the garage.
That's
Take
amazing.
donkey rides in the garage.
Dang, what year was that?
I don't know.
Is that the one where he said he lost his mind? He screamed at somebody and freaked out.
Yeah, Carrie Hart.
Yeah,
because
he talked about that on the podcast.
He threw Carrie Hart out of the house because Carrie
screamed
Hart
at
wrote
him.
"heart attack" on the walls, like in permanent marker. Brand new house.
Oh,
yeah, he lost his mind. Yeah, it's funny. It's in the podcast. He talks about that. He's like, I had a donkey at my house. I was having a great fucking time.
Oh, good.
You know, like, he talks about it.
I was there.
In the garage, heart attack on the wall.
It's wild, dude.
Dang, you went to that.
I wish I was there.
dude.
I was there,
That's
dude.
what's wrong with
I
you.
was there, bro.
Yeah, donkey party 2006.
Let's get real weird.
All
I
right,
did
all
not
right.
get involved in the donkey ride. I did see it pee and shit in there though, and I thought, what the fuck? Like you didn't see that coming. It's just everywhere.
All right, brand 4. If you're a new or established brand that want to survive this storm, don't overextend yourself. Treat your riders well. Send your riders to events and tell them the importance of supporting shops, jams, and the overall scene. That's lacking widely in the industry currently. Most of the kids I know don't care who won the Olympics or FIS. He talks more after, dives into it, but I felt like that summarized it. And I think that's, what we're talking about, those connections and those analog moments that are few and far between. Brand 5, owner of brands, distributors, and shops all need to simply work harder than ever before. They need to work smarter than ever before. For those that are failing or going to fail, the only one they have to blame is themselves. Brand 5 going in a little bit.
On point though.
Yeah. Brand 6, ideally, share data as an industry on sales and stock levels. Anonymous is fine. Pay a company to do it for us, kind of what you're talking about. Agree that prices need to go up and actually do it collectively. Agree to never offer free freight at any point in the supply chain, effectively raising prices, margins to offset tariffs and cost increases. So that's talking about free freight from the brand to the distributor, from the in that sense, not the freight from the manufacturer across. So everyone agree to pay into a pot to increase the attractiveness of BMX to young people, and in parentheses, USA BMX should really be doing this.
I don't think USA BMX should have be burdened with the responsibility, obligated to do it. But I do think, from my experience working with them, that they're probably the most organized to try to pull that together. So, I agree with them in the sense that, they should probably be the ones doing it, but not out of, it's their obligation. It's, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
it kind of sounds like they might be saying, oh, they should be, that they're, a critical thing, they're criticizing.
Oh, it's something that they're obligated to do. But, I mean...
I don't know if I understand what they mean. Everyone agree to pay into almost like a marketing pot to people
or
outside.
Something that's more maybe an industry thing, or not to say a non-profit, or just something that's putting into the expansion of the sport, you know, because in USA BMX, because I did talk to them when they were doing the freestyle, or they're still doing the freestyle aspect of it, the freestyle series.
You talked to Shane?
No, Shannon, I believe his name was.
Oh, okay, Gillette.
I forget.
Yeah.
Shannon, I think. But they were super, really dialed on the race side. They've been doing it for a million years, And then he was just sort of he wasn't criticizing, but he was just expressing the challenges of the freestyle side, and getting these facilities and what they need to do to be hosting weekly, what a track does. They're doing weekly races, and then they do they do regional races and then national races, and it's this whole and then, it's amazingly organized, and they're not without their issues too, but at the same time, you're wow, that would be amazing if they were able to somehow figure that out on the freestyle side, and it's not, it's complicated. Everything is complicated.
I did talk to Shane at some point, and it was pretty enlightening, the level of scope, in the sense of what I can't really touch on specifics
it was on
the freestyle side, but it was just that facility that they got built in Oklahoma, and how they did that, and the initiatives that they do have to get kids on bikes, and how they are planning on enacting this stuff. And it is it's so multifaceted into the real estate and all this stuff, and it was if I tried to explain it, I would sound really stupid, so I'm not going to, but it was well, this is pretty crazy.
No, that's what I mean, is in my little amount that I dabbled in race, at Haro, I just got exposed to whoa, how how far they've grown
Yeah.
in race
Yeah.
and what they've established there in Tulsa, I think, in the headquarters. And I've not been there, but I've seen it. And it's like they have like a whole Hall of Fame. And they used to do the Hall of Fame inductions here in San Diego, but now they do them there.
Yeah.
And they have like a legit Hall of Fame with like,
It's sick.
you know, exhibits and stuff. And I've not been there, but it's like from what I've heard, like that facility is amazing. And that came out of BMX. And like, yeah, so anyways, I don't know. My point is like we come from the freestyle side. We're kind of oblivious to that whole world. And you're like, there's this thing called USA BMX. It's based in the center of the country. And it's like a mammoth. It's huge, you know, and it's like they could, you know, there's a lot we could learn from them, I think, you know. And I mean, I think there's definitely, I'm sure there's a balance there. But, you know, like
that makes you want to like look and see what I can learn. And
dude,
that could probably change the scope of the way I see stuff.
No, it is. It's really inspiring. And then you're like, wow, they really have done it on the race side, and they know what it takes.
And their initiative is to get kids on bikes. Like that there really is like there is a palpable move towards that. And again, the conversation was like 2 years ago. I remember being like kind of like odd, and then in the sense that they had already done a big portion of it somewhere, and they're just looking to do that over and over and over again. So
in a sense, like we almost like don't have our shit together enough to do what they need.
Yeah,
like they have like a whole army of like race dads and track operators who are just diehard, and they're down to crunch the numbers. Like when I was with Haro, like, you know, they would do every single national. You get the pitch to like, you know, sponsor it or do whatever, but then they would always send the stats. And there's crazy stats. And I mean, they keep track of everything. Like, you know, just like the impressions and the impact that their races have and the involvement. And they just, you know, they're really tracking it. And it's like, and they're taking it about as seriously as you can take it. And you're like, it's overwhelming.
That's what you need. That's what
totally,
you need to sell it to
that.
cities.
That's why when I see it, I'm like, I want to make sure that we're not framing this that USA BMX should be obligated to shoulder this burden. It's like, no, they have the resources, and I feel like the know-how and the organization to spearhead something like that, where like, oh, they did like a national effort to introduce this program to schools to get kids on bikes, and they went to every single elementary school across the country, and they approached politicians like they could do something like that. And then it's like, whoa, and then you're all of a sudden like that's a huge shot in the arm for like the retail and the whole chain, you know. Like,
how was your experience like whenever you went to Tulsa, right?
Yeah, really impressive.
Yeah,
I mean, their whole facility, the Hall of Fame, is really cool. Like, you can just nerd out in there forever, and it was really cool learning about stuff that was before my time, which I've made an effort to learn about, but then seeing the stuff like from my time too, and is really, really cool. They have a whole timeline on the wall of like BMX freestyle, everything. It's really cool.
Dang, that sounds so sick.
Yeah, it's a lot of memorabilia in there where you're like, how did they get a hold of all this stuff? Yeah, it's really awesome.
There's just like speaking of memorabilia and stuff like that, Colin and Brad got to, I think 1 year I didn't go, like Adidas do this, like you go to the headquarters and they have this like vault that's underground at a certain temperature, and you get to go see like different shoes that from over history. And they have the Dave Mirra shoe, and you have to wear the white gloves to touch it and look at it. It's like I could have did it last year, but I was leaving.
Yeah.
But it's like one of those things like, dang, that's so sick.
They have a shoe in there.
Yeah, it's like it's just like stored. And one of the guys that do the tour around the campus and tell you what everything is, he was at the X game. That shoe, he got Dave to sign it. He was like, sign it. It was Dave's shoe, and he stored it. And it's like this like vault underground.
Awesome.
Yeah, with like 50 or like I think like either 50 to 60,000 signature shoes, and like
famous soccer players, basketball players, everything. Yeah.
All right, question 8. Moving forward, professional riders and how much they get paid. Is there a problem with that currently? If so, why? What can be done? Is the idea of a professional bike rider going away? And that's the last part was that stuff has been discussed. So that's why I asked. Brand 3, I wouldn't say it's going away, but it's definitely changed. Contest riders are one thing, but video part rider is fading away in the social media age. Being an amazing rider with amazing video parts doesn't necessarily translate into sales. If you don't have a personality that people can relate to, then you're lost in the mix. Guys like Anderson, Perry, and others have found a good following on YouTube and Instagram doing vlogs and other media. As cringe as influencer term is, that's where the pro rider term is heading. brand unknown because it got sent separately. I know who the person is, but I honestly don't know which brand he is. I'm pretty sure he's not 6, but I honestly don't know which one he is on the other one. So professional riders aren't going away, but things are definitely in a long transition period. Brands should have smaller pro teams that they can pay better, though, for sure, and not be calling riders they pay $100 a month to a pro. At the same time, riders should embrace and seek out having more co-sponsors, from part sponsors down to fruit juice companies and everything in between. As long as it's something the rider jives with, co-sponsors can help a lot here. And of course, lastly, both riders and brands need to keep adapting on how the rider can actually provide real value to the brand in the current IG, TikTok, social landscape, which a lot of riders aren't necessarily wanting to embrace. Pro riders. This is a very, very hot topic in a lot of ways. I think in a sense, I regret not asking this question from the onset because I didn't get...
You could scoot this up in the timeline.
No, it's all good.
Skip this, Albert.
I mean...
Fresco. Oh,
that's what it was. Fresco. Sorry. Side combo.
Yeah, I don't know. Is no necessarily very, very strong opinions in here. I think some obvious stuff. And then on my other note, I had a note in here. Viable career. When we were a kid, like you had, although it's always been short-lived, like a BMX rider, I think Kachinsky had a very long career. You have had a longer than average career. Gary's had an epically long career.
To be honest, I can't even be in that. When I say like career, like mine's been more so 10 years now.
Yeah.
But like to Kachinsky here, like how many years? Like
I made it 2 decades.
Yeah,
I can't be in there. I can't be in there. Yeah,
you know what I mean. Like I think. It's
I just say first out of respect to the other
career.
Well, but
that's
what
I'm
saying that it's not common.
The problem I think that a lot of riders run into is when you have downtimes or when brands are struggling, for one reason or another, they have to scale accordingly, and then it becomes like is it worth it issue, and it's a brand might have $500 to market with, which means, okay, maybe I could sponsor a rider to help me get these products out there. But then it's like that rider might go, that ain't worth $500, dude. I'm not going to change my riding and have to bring obligations into it for that price. It becomes an issue. Sometimes when the scale is down to a point, that's where I think riders run into this thing. And then that's when you get those stories like, I can't believe they're being asked to kill themselves for $500 a month. And then what Alfredo's putting in his videos.
Yeah.
It just gets tricky. You know what I mean? Yeah. And everybody makes... I think it's always been like that though. As a pro rider, it's like you have to make it your own way. Yep. There was a time when there was like a good pro circuit, and that was like a rare time.
Yeah.
But I think no matter what, I think you need to always make yourself an asset, and I think so. You think pro rider, you think you got their stickers on your bike, you got stickers on your helmet or whatever, and you wear their stuff. But I had 3 ACL injuries while being a pro bike rider. And if you think about that, like the minimum recovery of that is 6 months. You add that up, that's 1.5 years off my bike, just ACLs, not talking any other injuries, anything else. Yeah. And I had companies stick with me through that. One, because they were...
While you weren't working.
Right?
Yeah.
But, so what was I doing? Was I working? Yes. And that's what you didn't see was stuff I was doing off my bike to help that company.
Yeah.
So whether it was, exactly. So whether it was things I learned in school, like giving them business ideas, product feedback, all sorts of different things. Social media almost makes it a little bit easier now. I remember a number of years back, I was hurt one winter and but I mean, I guess the blessing is like, say you're a pro rider, you get that check. If you get it monthly, you get that monthly reminder like, hey, what did you do to earn this month? And if you're like I was, you'd be like, well, I better have done this, and this. at least, you know? And I remember one month, like I was hurt. I just felt like I hadn't done much, and I couldn't put out any current riding clips because I couldn't ride. I was hurt. So I went and I shot a photo of my bars. I was like, the companies just sent out an email saying they wanted these bars to have more attention, and I just asked a simple question to my audience, like, hey, and it was legitimate. Like, I had just gotten these new bars and cut them down. I showed a picture of the bars with like a tape measure across it, and I'm like, I cut them down to like whatever it was, 27, 28, something like that. I cut an inch off each side. I'm like, what do you guys cut your bars at? And that post got like crazy engagement, more than like any crazy trick I did and whatever. Everyone wanted to state their case and what they run their bars at, and that, so then all of a sudden that pair of handlebars gets like more views than if I would have just thrown an extra bar spin in a trick or whatever. So thinking of those little things, and that's just one small example, but like, okay, now you're an asset. Like, you got that pair of handlebars in front of more eyes. I mean, did it sell? I don't know. Maybe not. At least it got that visibility. So it's like those little things. And I always said, like, if I gave them business ideas, I always said, like, hey, I'm not your company owner. I'm not your marketer. I'm not whatever. Like, this is outside of my bounds. So if you don't like any of these ideas, like, toss them in the trash. Yeah, like, I'll give you 100 ideas. If one of them sticks, cool. If none of them do, cool. Like, I at least tried and gave my part, and hopefully maybe spark some ideas within your company. But like, to always be thinking like that, even if you're physically unable for a short period of time, hopefully. But like, I don't know, I was thankful for them being so loyal, but also like, I definitely worked for
like
it
holding
in
yourself
between.
accountable.
Yeah. Like almost make yourself irreplaceable in a way, like
I think it was almost more rare for like rider to make money in a traditional, or make their career in the traditional sense, where they traveled from event to event and had like pro purse podium, that's like where they're making their money from like winnings and stuff. Like, there were riders that did that, but I think over time, as a whole in BMX, I think there's probably a lot more paid riders that have made it in their own sort of variation of that.
But there was time periods where like Bob Sherbo had a living, like
that's
he could make it. Yeah,
no, that's what I'm saying. Like in BMX, I think more of like sort of the not obscure, but like riders who sort of made their own path found ways to exist than riders who took the traditional tour route. You know, like there was definitely riders that thrived in that format, but those formats were kind of rare. Like for riders.
Well, it's also a different scale. Like if you see the first bullet point on there, Kagi discussing making $400,000 in a single year.
Sure.
So Kagi, that was Dew Tour times. Yeah. Like it was
Dew Tours were weird times.
Very, very few, if anybody's making $400,000 in 2025.
Well, I think just a lot of people don't talk about it. Well, I mean, the people who are doing it don't talk about it.
That is true, but why would you in this landscape? But it's still, I think, it's a slow burn in a sense, but to me, being a pro rider has always been about being marketable.
Sure.
Has always. I have the note in there and said like Dave Mirra would not be Dave Mirra if he looked like the Toxic Avenger. And that if he wasn't a good looking dude, he would not have been doing a milk ad with his shirt off, 100%. He wouldn't have been.
He could have still been. I mean, he wouldn't have been as marketable as what he was, but he was like an amazing athlete.
He was. That's the part, and that's the lightning bolt of Dave Mirra, is that he was a good looking dude and he was a phenomenal athlete. Right. He was an amazing athlete. He was the best.
Right.
But Dennis fucking did Mercedes commercials and shit. He ain't getting that if he looks like a, anything. I don't know. But it's just it's aspirational. When you sponsor a bike rider, it's not only because they're good, but kids want to be him. Kids want to dress like him. They know stuff about him. They relate. They want to be a part of it. And I feel like there's always been this battle. I can think of a name, and I really don't want to insult him, so I'm not going to. But like, there's always been these people that we like talked about in a sense where we're like, amazing bike rider, but like, who's trying to be that person?
Not marketable.
not marketable.
Sure.
Amazing bike rider, and it
or you just
or
don't
boring.
know, or you just don't know their story, because maybe people seem boring and you just don't know their story because they've never told it or no one's told it for them.
I like that bright side opinion, but no, you just don't want to be them. Like,
Yeah.
it's just like there's
But
just
that-
nothing
there's a
there.
reason why- there's a reason
their
why you
their
don't wanna be
personality and the way they carried themselves
Yeah.
was not aspirational. And that's all I'm saying is that some people have it, whatever that may it be, but like that has been the battle with, we talked about Jeremiah Jones in the beginning, amazing bike rider, asshole. And that's like on the extreme scale.
It's funny though, because I'm
I
like,
know
I don't
that
want to
is.
bring up any names to the
Exactly.
contrary, where you're like, well, this person's not good looking, but they're really popular and they've done well. I can't be like, yo,
Right.
there are names that are coming. But like,
Daniel
I do
Durst.
think- dude, bro.
But why do you think he?
no.
But why do you think he got his teeth fixed?
Yeah,
Well, listen
yeah.
to the Durst podcast. I say it. It's like you fucking say anything to him. Like
No,
if
it was
he knows it,
interesting.
he's like, yeah, I was an ugly as fuck, bro. You know, like, like,
Yeah. So he's coming from a valid point from your perspective.
yeah, like, and that was him going, wow, I should be more marketable. I need to get my fucking teeth fixed. Is what he's thinking.
Yeah, right.
So that's.
But you don't have to be a model. You don't have to
No,
be a
you don't have to
Dave
be a
Mirra
model.
milk
Yeah,
to-
but I'm saying
yeah,
that is
to succeed.
God damn, this fucking dude! I literally already said it. Why are you making me say it again? It was a light. Dave Mirra was a lightning bolt. He was a good-looking dude, phenomenal athlete. Those things came together, and he became very, very marketable. Do you need me to say it again, Joey?
Yeah, say it again.
It's kind of like,
It's like 3 hours in of like
in the same
yeah,
vein
but he's
of,
not
like-
Dave Mirra, Dave Mirra. And you're like, what? Let's move on.
think about Tony Hawk, an incredible athlete, like phenomenal
Yeah.
skateboarder, with the last name Hawk.
Yeah,
and it's
yeah.
just kind of like,
Sick as fuck.
It's just this
Yeah.
dude's
And
flying
it's not-
through
it's-
the
yeah,
air. His
yeah.
last name's
So
Hawk,
many
you know?
parallels.
And he's
like,
cool
think
and
of
he's
that.
funny.
It just
and
like that.
Yeah.
Those things just like resonate with people. And
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah,
you're
it
right.
just
Like,
and
there's
so
a certain-
nowadays it took, or back then it took somebody seeing that quality in you and then grabbing you and thrusting you into the limelight and whatever. Dude, that was shout out to @BMX.com.
Whoa, bro.
That's a real thing. So yeah.
Mastroni, dude.
Yeah, Mastroni's got this one. You know, like it took somebody to film you and make a video and all that stuff is what I meant.
Yeah.
Like grab you in a sensitive spot or whatever, you know.
Like,
but
like see something in you.
yeah,
that you may
and
not see in
nowadays
yourself,
it's up to the rider to market themselves, and they are their own vertical in that sense. They do make their own stuff. That you have.
It's been a real big identity push on
Yeah.
trying to find and be who you are,
Yeah.
be yourself, which is the key to all of this.
Yeah.
That's why it makes all this subjective, like all the opinions subjective. But realistically, it's like you don't have to be or fight to be anything if you can be yourself.
Yeah.
Like if
Yeah.
you can do that to the best of your ability, which is extremely hard because of influence. When you see something that you love or a person that you love and you want to be like them, hopefully on the way to liking them, you find yourself. And if you can do that, then it's like, oh, okay. But when you find yourself, you still have to understand that self still have to grow.
Yeah.
Self still
Yeah.
have to learn. Self still have to do all these certain things that like to reach however you saw that person, but in your own way, in your own direction, that other branch. So
Yeah.
I don't know.
I think
Yeah.
I think it's reached a, sorry, one more thing.
That's just something that changed drastically over my career. Was like when it started, or my time in BMX. When it started, you didn't talk about yourself, and if you did, you were ousted.
Yeah.
And now it evolved
Yeah.
from that to if you don't even exist.
Yeah, and I think
Huge shift.
in the
Huge
in the
shift,
real
yeah.
world,
Wow.
there's people that are like good at their job, and then there's the people that are telling people how good they are at their job. And if you have that ability to do that social media, because that is a lot of saying how good you are and look how good my life is, and that is social media in a lot of ways. You don't necessarily need to have all the talent as long as you can show that you kind of look like you
I
have
talk
it in a
with my
short amount of
son
time.
constantly about
Yeah.
that. The youngest, we'll talk about it often, and he had this when he loves playing soccer,
Yeah.
and when he really started to get into it, he would talk about how good he was and talk about the things he can do.
Yeah.
Because I believe in being delusional. You need that delusion to kind of create the idea where you want to be, but there comes a time where you got to prove it.
Yeah.
And generally for a lot of men, especially when you're doing something physical, it comes to the point where you don't want to be sitting there. Then it's like, well, yeah, I can do that. But realistically, it's like, well, show me. And usually when we do those things and you put in the time, you put in the effort, you find the fun on the way, or these things become not easier for you, but you develop some sort of skill. And therefore, while developing that skill, you understand like, oh, like, okay, I am okay at this, but it becomes now separated from what you say you can do as opposed to like you can do it. Yeah. And then now, like you said, like you talk about it, you film yourself and it's like, oh well, I'm capable of doing these certain things, but generally it start me trying to ingrain that into my son at a young age of like, hey, effort. Yeah. Watch the mouth. Yeah. Because the mouth's gonna have to back up. You're gonna have to back up everything you say. Like that goes into if you have an opposing opinion, if you have a very strong opinion, and it's like
don't write a check you can't cash.
Well, with that you have to also be open to being wrong.
Kids
you have
are
to
like,
be
what's
open
a check?
to being subjected to learning. Like if you can learn, then it's like you're gonna grow. But if you get too stuck in your own ways and not take help or like not necessarily take advice, but like when you see something that's like progressing in a way that is generally positive, there's something you can learn from it. It doesn't mean you have to do it, but you got to respect it. And the biggest form of respect in the world of like being good at something is your actual efforts rather than what you can talk about. And that also still just doesn't really mean much, but when it comes to the time to actually putting the effort in and like you getting something out of it that's going to be way more enjoyable for you in the long run is based off of your effort. And you may not get anything out of it, but because you did the work. It's like, oh,
you were real. You didn't fake it.
Yeah.
I think, the landscape has like changed a lot, and you have dudes, we've seen Reiki's incredible bike rider, and he is dismayed by the lack of backing, funding that
resources
that
it's
he
hard to
that
get
he has
resources.
had, and it's like you see, I don't even know another person, but like he sees other people do well, and he's like, why isn't this happening for me? Sure. And that is a very normal thought. And
I've seen it happen to several people over the years, and it's really hard when everyone around them is doing well. And sometimes it's like it is really difficult because it's a lot of times those guys are doing well because they have a certain grouping of sponsors that they built that allows them to do that. It's not one sponsor in particular that enables them. Or maybe sometimes it is kind of one key sponsor that enables this person to travel in a certain way. And that's just it, where it's like, I've seen riders where you're like, man, they have all the talent and they're so cool. And if they just had one game-changing sponsor, they could ride full-time. And then it would like open up. Yeah. But for whatever reason, they're right there. And then it just kind of doesn't come to fruition. And then they have to get a job. And then they get a decent job and they go, well, I'll make pretty good money.
I tried.
And I can ride on my own terms. Yeah. And that life isn't that bad either. You know what I mean? Yeah. And now I can do this on my own thing and ride. And what could have been a A-level pro or a top-level pro took a different route. Because there just was
because the industry couldn't back them.
Yeah, there just wasn't the slots for the riders.
And that is palpable. And I feel like I see those dudes come and go. And it's hard, man.
Like, the other side of it, though, too, is like where I'm like, man, the proactive side or trying to be optimistic is like someone like Johnny is like, the answer might not be with core BMX brands. You know what I mean? Like, because they're struggling, and there's only so much resources they have. And maybe the answer is thinking outside the box. Like if you got some random brand that was a sick brand, they're not a BMX core brand. They could still change. Yeah, well,
Jaren is
he's the other side of the spectrum. But say someone like
I'm saying
Johnny,
in the middle,
exactly. And he's I think focusing more on those deals, whereas Johnny I think is more of a purist as far as trying to progress his riding.
But Jaren started off as a purist.
Yeah, Jaren had a full on. Well, Jaren had a video Johnny part that never got published because somebody took it from him. He was like, that? So Jaren had a video part that
you can say the name. You already said it before on the podcast.
What? Fernando?
Yeah,
for sure.
Totally, and that's no slight against Jaren.
For sure,
has found something that works for him.
But no, you're good. No, but what we're saying is like they're completely the same. same, but the difference in it is like where their focus is right now. And if you look at, like we talked about earlier, like what you want right now when you're 23 isn't going to be the same when you're 30.
Yeah.
But also the way you look at it, and that doesn't mean that age ultimately to always decide what you do and what great decisions you make at the time. But like if you look at Johnny's age and you look at Jaren's age, but look at just the riding. Johnny's progressive in his own way. Like his focus may be more so riding now, where I lived watching Jaren focus only on riding to film a video part that he probably still would be so engulfed in, but because of personal reasons from Fernando, like whatever he got going on, Jaren he didn't get a chance to show that. Therefore, in his word, he's like, well, why would I contribute more to this? Where now, like what I felt would have been great for my career, and would maybe have allowed there's that not so much of a gap. Like you just said it, he's on this side,
right?
So
right.
It would have bridged the gap, because like I get what you're saying, but it would have.
He would still been part of the core industry, but also had the fucking whatever suitcases and Rolexes
it's like
or whatever.
And his riding progressed. Like he had the bloody shins, like all of us had. He went through this process, but there was like he didn't get he got ripped out of his hands, but. I think to embrace the other side of it now, because of that happening, he was able to like maybe take a step back, but also redirect his focus on certain things to not get so caught up in, because like he was
able to pull the resources he needed,
he was
but not from core BMX brands. He found it outside,
and that's awesome. Like I got an email. I got an email in what year would that have been?
And I don't think that's a bad thing.
No, not at all.
BMX brands.
No, not at all.
It's just a way to make it
like
work.
Early on, 2014, maybe something like that. 2013. I got an email and it's like, "Hey, Brian, we're so and so company. I don't know if I can say it this far out, but we're so and so, and we want you to promote our like internet and cable speeds. We have like these new cables and internet offerings. We're a massive company, and we want to pay you a lot of money to post about it every month." And they They gave me a number, and I was like,
"Done.
That's crazy."
Yeah.
But
I changed my name to cable internet.
But I never said yes. I was like, I'll get back to you within 24 hours or whatever. And I was like, well, they approached me, so that's a good thing. And they're really huge. I looked up like what they're valued and whatever. And I shouldn't look. I mean, it's not really relevant because it's of course what I'm valued as well. But it's a huge company, and I was like, well, they approached me, so maybe I could up it a little bit. And so I did, and they didn't even bat an eye and said yes. And it was this thing where it was like the first time in my life where I'm doing like influencer stuff outside of BMX, and I'm like, how's my BMX audience gonna see this? I'm gonna have to somehow tie it in. And I saw it as a challenge, but I also saw it as like, I pay my health insurance and all this stuff, and I want to continue to support myself and pay my own rent and health insurance and everything else that my life entails. And like I might put out some cheesy posts randomly about internet speeds for a little bit, like someone just has to scroll past it, but I'd rather have that than like a GoFundMe because I need this surgery. Like instead I can just pay for that surgery on my own. I think so. But I remember you asking me about that at the time because it was tweets and stuff. You were like, "Hey man, what's up with these tweets you're doing about?"
He assumed it's negative. I was just curious.
No, it was cool. It was cool because now you would know what it is. But at the time, it was so new that you didn't know what it was.
I was like, did you get hacked or something? What the fuck?
Yeah. It kind of seemed like it, but that opened up a door for me where I was like, "Oh wow, so this is
what's
like
even funnier about what you're saying is."
I mean, you get those.
You're talking about
like
how you had to you question like the people that are really into who I am as a person. When they question this, everybody's looking at it on the internet.
Yeah,
and you're making something about the internet. You're posting something about the internet, and what got you there is the bike. So however people choose to look at it, it's still that game you have to play with yourself, right? Like it's like, dude, like, but you, like you said, you thought about these things and it was like,
and I was like, this can enable me to ride my bike more. This can enable me to travel more, and all this. It was all for the love of wanting to do what I wanted to do rather than do stuff I didn't want to do.
And there's real value for brands in that. Like you kind of felt conflicted about that, but like to them, they knew, like I will have people that I follow that I will start seeing some new product that they're pushing. And like okay, yeah, I know that they're getting paid. Okay, yeah, but now if I see it a few times, I'll be like, I'm gonna click on this product.
Of course,
see what they're working with here and what this is. And now that product is on my radar, and it works.
Yeah,
now
it works.
Like, now that product is one of several that I think about when that type of thing comes up. Camera, bike, whatever. It's like, I'm like, oh, okay, yeah. Now and so.
Yeah, and that snowballed into like many years of like very good auxiliary money that I didn't that I didn't get. That I got that never came off the skin of any BMX company's back, which felt awesome.
And I think tying it to
it just felt good to be able to branch out in that way, even though sure it wasn't core and it was kind of new at the time. Now it's kind of normal.
Well,
like, now you see it all the time.
And I
but
think tying it back to today, I think it's essential for riders to, in order to get the resources they need, going to what Johnny's going through, whatever, like. To do what he wants to do, I think you need to be, I'm not criticizing what he's doing, but I'm just saying too, it's like, I think he has a following. He has a big audience. He has a lot of value. He's an exceptional athlete. So I'm sure there's brands out there that would love to support him.
Yeah, like even something that he's into. Like if he's into a certain kind of drink, and I know hit him up.
Yeah. So out of your 2 decades of riding professionally, and to any person that will see this podcast, but also like look at this and look at the salary or what they think things would be, what advice would you give to even a person like Johnny, myself, or any up and coming person on the idea about what a professional is and how they can adjust through the trials and tribulations of it, not just through industry wise, but even personally?
I would say just always make sure that you're doing things. Always make sure you can tie it in somehow to what you're doing and what you're about. And if you can't, somehow make it worth it otherwise back into what you love to do or what you're trying to and or helping out the people that helped you. I think there's still just a huge power in the word thank you. I think there's a huge power in reaching out, and if you're reaching out for opportunities, to be legitimately offering them something and offering them options. I say like levels. Like if you're not just reaching out to a company like, hey, sponsor me, pay me a bunch of money. It's like, oh, hey, I'm really interested in your product, or I use your product, or I like it, and whatever. I could do level 1, level 2, level 3. Level 1 is very basic. Level 2 is middle of the road. 3 is millions of dollars.
Yeah.
Whatever. And so I mean, but really the sky's the limit, because there's so many things in this world that we all use that aren't whack. Like, I don't know, like a phone case, or do an ad for tables. I don't know. I got this new table. It's sick. Like, do a tabletop over it. I don't know. Whatever. Yeah. It's I think just looking at the world in a different way like that can be, if you're just strictly monetarily anyways, if we're talking, like, I think that there's a lot of opportunity.
If you look at influencers that are the real successful ones, they have a skill. Mm-hmm. Whether it's woodworking or cars or construction or even like mowing lawns or something like that, they have something that they repeat. And then they are also apparently good at making videos and marketing and getting a hook and paying attention to what works and what doesn't. And it's like with any kid these days, when they're like, I want to be a influencer or a YouTuber or something like that, it's like, well, what are you gonna do? Because you need that skill first. So bike riders, they have the skill already. What they need to do is sharpen up on everything else around it.
Yes, be on time, and submit your stuff on time, follow instructions.
Well, even just the presentation and the hook and the everything you deliver and how it all works. Just start watching videos, like, I don't know, fucking community college or something on marketing or something in a weird sense, or read a book in 2026. Like, I don't know, but I
always wonder why
you're good at bike riding already. Like, you're good. You want to show that in the proper way, to not only show that you're good at riding bikes, but show that you are able to market a different product. And you do this stuff because I feel like what's the you would know it, but when you do these like you do a spec commercial in the video in the video world, a photo world, so you do a spec commercial for Nike, and it's just me filming a shoe as if I got hired by Nike. Gotcha. And I'm not actually doing it, but I'm showing my skill set with the idea of like, I can film products, or I can do this for your brand because look at what I did. Do fucking fake product promos.
I mean,
honestly,
no. There's been plenty of content creators that did that to get recognized. You know, like they made ads for their brands or for
just
brands.
Do something authentic that you're actually into, something that comes across easy.
Well, Jared's another example of that. He like works with Sony. He like get all these lenses, cameras.
Yeah,
and stuff.
because he pumped up Sony for a while before it happened. Probably.
Yeah, and he like extremely good at it. Like when you watch something, it's like, dang, you filmed all that, but it's like basically documenting what he's doing. If it's a trip, he also is like
and he didn't start out good, and I feel like that's
but
that's what I mean. Like that is the
idea.
idea, is that you need to do this stuff because as bike riders are as the landscape is changing, that's the one thing that they're missing, and then they're going like, why the fuck is this not working for me? And it's like you're actually missing a key element, you know, big dash, unfortunately, that exists today. You know, like I wish it didn't. I wish you could just ride bikes. I wish you could just be good at riding bikes, and everything would come to you, because you do deserve it, because you are incredible. But unfortunately, in this day and age, there's a little, and you will find that if you're incredible at riding bikes, the core brands will come to you, and then you start doing that other auxiliary stuff. You'll start getting more followers. Brands will start, because there's a thing called micro influencers today. Because even if you don't have a huge influencer, a huge following,
there's still a room.
If you have 8,000, 5,000, something like that, but you're getting great engagement, they're like, that's 4,000 or 5,000 people that really care about this dude, and that's valuable.
And I always wondered why I got those deals, because I wasn't the best bike rider, and I didn't have the most amount of followers, but I think I worked with enough brands where I did things on time and delivered good stuff that they liked. That it was like, I think it just snowballed. I must have got put on some list that I don't know about, because I would like all of a sudden they just keep getting this stuff, and I was like, well, yeah, I mean, I did say no to some stuff, but a lot of them I was like, well, could I make this work? And if I had a vision, then I'd say yes. And
and ask, hit brands up. I also tell people, ask for what you want.
Worst they can say no. Somebody asked me, how can I get sponsored? And it's like, I'm going to get to you.
You know, one thing that I've only seen one rider do, and I do think it's like is pretty smart, and it helps get their keep reminding people of their name without. Well, anyways, what this rider did was they would send out their own little mailing letters, like an email mailing letter, every month. And, you know, so like as you make contacts, let me get your email, or let me get your number, you know, and it's like, and every month you would get this newsletter. That's what it is, newsletter from the person. And it'd be like, this is what I did this last month. And the person was like super legit. So it would be crazy stuff, but it would be like, got to work with these guys. It was really cool. You could check it out here. Got to work with these guys. Really cool. Check it out here. And by the way, if you need any content of me, I collected some photos and clips that I was able to film along the way, and photographers that I like linked up with. Here's links at the bottom. And it's like, so if you're their sponsor, you're like, you're grade A, this is beautiful. They couldn't ask for anything else. And if you're on their potential sponsor list and you're just like following up, and you're like, it's just like every month you're touching back.
It was a guess at who it was.
No, every month you're touching back with these brands that you want to work with, just sort of showcasing what you've been doing, you know? And it's like, it was Matthias.
Matthias.
Matthias,
of course. Yeah. Okay.
And he's super dialed with it every month, and it's
beautiful. Talk about somebody who is great at,
but also talk about
lightning bolt too,
but not a mainstream talent. You know, I mean, like not a mainstream athlete as you would sort of envision a pro bike rider to be. In fact, like, I mean, arguably like the most niche type of riding there is.
Right.
And has found like more success than, 99.9%, and I'm sure it's for more than just that, but I remember like every month I would, and you could go see it and you'd be like, this guy lives a movie
you're like,
star
damn,
life,
I'm a fucking
rock star
loser.
life. But it was super organized. And the content links at the bottom. Any rider, you could go with your friends to a ride out and you can be like, oh, we did a sick ride out. I got clips in the Our BMX video. Check it out at timestamp 241. And here's some photos we shot from the day. And if they're badass photos, like, and it's like, it makes you're taking it seriously.
It's
you're
hard.
showing
And
brands that like this
which
side too.
hones into your point.
Totally.
About, like,
and it's like, and brands, they want to, like, everyone has to think too, like, if you're John Doe from this brand reaching out with a paycheck, that John Doe, their ass is on the line to their boss for this spend.
Right.
So they're trying to find people that they're not going to worry about.
Yeah,
that are
exactly.
like, for sure, like, ooh, this guy. And I bet you, like, you started getting hit up a lot because, like, people search around, for accounts that
Could be
have
an
good
agency
promotion,
too,
and you get on agency or anything.
One more point, and then we're going to move on because we do need to wrap it up.
But yeah, to wrap it up, that's what riders need to be doing, just thinking outside the box a little bit, because hopefully the bike company and parts companies and all that stuff will support you as well as they can. And I encourage companies and riders to strive for that. But yeah, I think nowadays there's
Don't do
a lot
it,
of
Joey.
opportunities.
Well, I'm going to one sentence. Don't stress the core side.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like what you were saying, like, is this not core, or like, is doing this deal going to be perceived as negative? I think you'd be surprised. Like, no, everyone's more or less supportive of doing something that enables you to
All right,
pursue.
well, Joey said something, so now I have to say something. Don't do it a few times and then think it didn't work either. Like, I mean, when people talk about starting a YouTube channel, I'm like, well, be prepared to do it for a year. Otherwise, you can't say, I tried. You have to do it for at least a year. And then if it doesn't work after a year, you can say, hey, I gave it a real shot. It didn't work. I quit.
Yeah.
So it's the same with this shit. Like, don't come in there hot for a couple of fucking weeks and then be like, didn't fucking work. I fucking tried everything. It's like, that's not the way this shit goes.
No,
You got to do this shit for a while. Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. And
Yeah.
bike riding should tell you that same exact thing. So that's it, unless Joey has anything else.
Sick. Appreciate that, guys.
All right, thoughts
Thanks,
on the
Brian.
future. We're wrapping this up. As a brand owner and as BMX as a whole, brand one, we are heading into 2026 super optimistic. If there is one thing we could do better, it's probably bolster our online site, etc., to make it easier for folks to get what they need from us if they can't find it elsewhere. This hasn't been a priority in recent years, as we haven't. This hasn't been a priority in recent years, as we weren't as driven to direct to consumer sales in this climate, because we really wanted to see our dealers survive too. But improving customer experience is a goal. So that's been referenced a couple of times in here, is that like brands want this stuff to survive, but not probably at their own expense.
They want to survive.
Yeah, they want to survive as well.
Yeah,
like,
they don't want to be the sacrifice.
So, brand three, people in the BMX media and some shop owners keep saying that brands need to market outside of BMX because market BMX outside of BMX because we're chasing the same customer. I want to ask those people how they would do that. I believe BMX is best promoted in each community by the shops who are close to the schools, whose shops with signage are on the streets and the avenues promoting cycling. I mean, grassroots, I feel like these days, like kind of what one of the other brands said about like send your riders to events and tell them how important it is to meet kids and make a connection. I think that sort of stuff on the ground level also works. I think more than ever we are inundated with so much digital stuff that it really is. That is the most important thing, is like making those connections in person and being nice and being like, oh, your forks are back. Like when I see a kid, I'm like, yo, I got tools in the car, bud.
It's gonna feel a lot better.
Yeah,
sometimes.
like let me help you out.
You.
Like so stuff like that. Brand four, I think it's important that people start thinking about where their money goes when they make their purchases. It's okay to want to save a buck, but it's more important to spend that buck where a company gives back to BMX shops and brands that hold comps. events and fix kids' bikes and countless other things that are a literal heartbeat to our sport. Embrace everyone and grow the sport more than you'd ever imagine by being kinder to all, more accepting, more tolerant. Teach kids or fellow riders a better way instead of ridiculing them. We are too quick to crucify each other instead of lending advice and helping. Brand 7, I'm super positive about it being the future. Both BMX and our brand. Sure, there are ups and downs, but that's how it goes from our side. Things are slowly but steadily growing, so there's not really that much to be bummed about. Hopefully there's a bit less BMX dying speculation out there and people turn their attention back to the cool shit that is happening, cool bikes and the actual BMX riding part. Brand 8, we will continue to support our customers, team riders, and hosts and support jams and other events we believe in. Once you leave this internet bubble of BMX being dead and get out into the real world, you quickly realize that's far from the truth.
Amen.
I mean, all of those, these are, all of these, as far as I know, are brand owners, except for potentially one. People that own BMX companies. These are the ones saying this. So, that's what you should take away from this is like, is BMX dying? It's like, these are the responses, all of them. They're they're varied. In my opinion, they're very real. And they, very deep industry stuff, but I think this is an aspect of the, a look behind the curtain that has probably never really, really been online. So I hope people got something out of it, in that sense of like, go fucking ride bike. I had one
as far as brands that you want to see continue.
I had one or two people actually email me like, "What are you talking about?" That's great. Or like, "Oh, I haven't seen any of that. Can you send it to me?" And it's like that's the reality is that like 30,000 people watch Alfredo's video apparently.
I'm go out and say it. Shout out to Alfredo for causing all of this.
Yeah, right.
Well, to be completely fair, like he did say close to the end that it isn't. He don't think it is, but
yeah, I mean,
but the way going by it did like struck a lot of nerve and a lot of opening statement. Yeah, opening statement, a lot of misleading information. But for the bigger picture of it all, this answers that question straight to the point. Like shout out to you going above and beyond to ask these companies like where it. To get these answers that really matter from the people that actually are on that side, and to all the people that are constantly contributing and constantly, whether it's jams, contests, communicating with riders all over the world. You and Dennis and all you guys are doing, like everything that each individual, each group of people contribute to BMX. It's like,
I mean, we're holding a jam on Friday. There's an event in San Diego on Saturday. You guys are doing an event 2 weeks later in Salt Lake City. Yeah. Like the doers versus the finger pointers, and that is a vast difference between the person that you are talking about versus the people at this table. And I think that's the line that I think is important. And I think Alfredo honestly should be pretty ashamed of himself for putting that shit out there. It's dog shit material. Like it literally is. Like, sorry you spent time on it and put a bunch of effort into dog shit. But you did. It served nobody. It didn't make anything better. It caused turmoil in your life that you're hiding. I left a comment. He hid me from the channel and stuff like that. Like he doesn't want actual feedback. He doesn't actually want the community to really respond. He wants the fluff. He wants the engagement.
He's trying to grow his channel. You think
it's bullshit.
Yeah.
It's like either like bring something good or stay fucked off. Like that's my 3-hour statement. So
interesting.
Thank you for listening.
Yeah.
Unless Joey has anything else.
No. I'm good with that.
Stay fucked off. Like I keep going back to like 12-year-old Brian and how I got hooked on BMX, and it was of course the freedom the bike gave me to go point A, point B, Z, everywhere I could go, but also the camaraderie. And I think that I had played all these sports where the competitors want to beat each other, hurt each other, or whatever it was. And here I was like watching these BMX videos where they're like cheering for each other on the deck, and I think if we don't lose that spirit, it'll never be dead. And
100%.
it's still alive now because of that.
Cheers.
Yeah. Thank you.
Couldn't have said it any better.
It's way nicer than my ending.
Boom. Nailed
right.
it. Nailed
Do I have
it.
a lot of stuff on me? Like all,
Yeah, you do actually.
all
You
the
have some
time, bro.
pieces.
Me too.
I think you be moving these things around on me, bro.
Yeah. I have new ones in there. I'm just like, it feels weird to like